Hello! Hello, hello, hello. Non-binary superpowers. I don't understand what you're trying to say. Also, hello VCC TV. Hello Catalina Gearbox. Hello Lotta Apples. Hello Malachi. Hello, hello, hello everybody. Haven't even tweeted out that I'm streaming yet. Been encountering some technical issues today. It's hot today. We made many salads. Hell yeah. I wish I liked salads. Feel bad for the driver of the sub and the... I still... and the what? But man, the rest can fuck right off. The kid. Gotcha. Why do you feel bad for the driver of the sub? The driver of the sub was the CEO of the company that built that shitty sub. Yeah. The only person I have any sympathy with is the 19-year-old who didn't want to go in the first place. I speedrun Vosh's VOD today on 2x, so the 19-year-old didn't want to go. He went with his dad because of Father's Day. Yeah, right? I think, honestly, like, it is funny, right, that, like, they got on a shitty submarine, and, like, what do you expect, right? But on the other hand, like, I don't wish ill on, like, a French explorer who's just genuinely interested in exploring the deep sea. I don't wish any ill on that guy either. I don't really care that a billionaire got hurt. I don't care about that part. But I am somewhat relieved that at least they died instantaneously. Like, if you, like, I just, a rough look at the science, like, they literally got pancaked within, like, a millisecond. Like, faster than it takes, like, a thought to go across your brain. You know? So I'm just glad they went instantly and it wasn't just like them sitting at the bottom of the ocean in
epic rap battles
running out of oxygen, you know?
Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg.
Honestly, and I didn't say this the other day, that's actually my personal worst way to die. Like, being stuck on the bottom of the ocean in a submarine that hasn't imploded is the worst way that I can imagine dying. Because you're getting, like, if there's water leaking in, right? You're getting the icy cold of the ocean, so you're freezing. Additionally, you're running out of oxygen from, like, using it yourself. And you're running out of oxygen because it's leaking out of the sub. And so you're either going to suffocate or drown or freeze to death, and you're trapped in a tiny little capsule, and there's nowhere to go. You can't run away from it. You can't go anywhere. And that's my personal, like, why I would never get on a submarine. Like, that's why. I get freaked the fuck out about kayaks. Just on the off chance, like, it flips over and I can't flip it back up again, you know? So, yeah. Crazy to think people are on nuclear subs. Nuclear subs are at least safer, you know? Like, with nuclear subs, like, you know, you got a ton of people on there with you. Like, you got some of the smartest people in the world, like, serving on your submarine in case something bad happens. But, like, man. Man. It reminds me of early Arctic explorers caught in blizzards. Yeah, no kidding, right? What does implode actually mean in this scenario? Does the window crack and then the thing just crumples like a tin can? Yeah, essentially it's a ro-ro. What happens is once you get down to that depth, you have essentially the full weight of like the imagine a car ramming into you at 60 miles an hour on every square inch of your body constantly. Like that's the amount of force and pressure we're talking about. And so if there's like a small crack, if there's like a small crack in the hull at that point, we're talking like that thing is going to essentially explode. But in this scenario, it's not exploding outward. It's like if you were sitting in a tin can and all of the explosives were, instead of just exploding in every direction, they were exploding towards the inside of the can. So it's basically like an explosion directed inward instead. Yes, we know that the word is implode. Someone was asking what that actually means. It gets hotter than the surface of the sun for a moment from the rapid air compression. Yeah, essentially, like some people smarter than me have crunched numbers, but the compression of the oxygen and like the stuff in the submarine basically creates a very short-lived plasma that would have, like, even if you had survived all of the other effects, would vaporize you instantaneously because it's hotter than the sun. So it's pretty deadly. The pressure is so great that when the USS Scorpion developed a leak, the jet of water compressed the air and people inside into a combustible mist that spontaneously ignited like a diesel engine. Yeah, we're talking like when you get down to the ocean floor at that depth, you're talking like a tiny crack. Like by the time a tiny crack forms, you're basically dead. You know, which is why it's really important to have like signaling mechanisms that show that too much pressure, like or pressure is starting to overcome like some kind of secondary kind of defensive barrier, you know? And they had one of those, but apparently it would only give them a millisecond of warning ahead of time, which is far, far, far too late to actually do anything. Like you would start to hear the beep, and by the time you registered that the beep from like the console was alerting you to, well, honestly, by the time you hear the beep, it would already be imploding. It would already be too late. So yeah, nah, they mercifully they died instantaneously. There's a pic from when two German adventurers rode in that sub and the CEO has his shirt off. The vibe of the pic with multiple screens, webcams hanging off the walls in the sub, Bluetooth speaker hanging from the ceiling looks like a cursed grinder hookup. What happened? Did they lose contact and control and the sub sank too far? Nah, it's a Ro-Ro. What happened was the material that the sub was built out of was carbon fiber, which is relatively strong. However, not ideal for building submarines out of, which is why most people don't build submarines out of carbon fiber. And its hull was only rated to go to a depth of 1,300 meters. And they were taking that sub down on numerous expeditions to the ocean floor at a depth of over 4,000 meters, which means they were going to roughly like, 5,000 meters. They were going to like over 3 times its rated depth with really just no safety precautions at all. So it essentially, by the time a carbon nanofiber cracks and you're at that depth, it's all Jover. Yeah, and that's the other thing, right? Because of how like carbon fiber is made, like it needs to be laminated. And if you're using it for prolonged and continuous use over a period of time, the laminate on the carbon fiber is going to like essentially degrade, wash off. And yeah, once that happens, it's all Jover. Yeah. Oh, pry bars? That's a good idea. Let's take a look at that real quick. I didn't intend to talk about the submarine today, but here. Let's take a look at this hydraulic press video where they go about trying to compress carbon fiber. Wait, I don't care about the wood. I want carbon fiber, damn it. Here we go. I just want to see it in the press. Now keep in mind, it cracked almost instantly as soon as they started applying pressure. Like, yeah. Basically, it would be like, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine, and then, you know? Hey, Avalon of Babylon. This is different from the one I saw. Here, I'll look again. Hydraulic press channel. Ah. Okay, sorry, we got we went to the crazy hydraulic press channel. This is just hydraulic press channel. Let's see if they got a different one. Vegan for the memes, thank you very much for subscribing. Here we go. Crushing carbon fiber with a hydraulic press.
Welcome to the hydraulic press channel. Today we are going to crush some carbon fiber composites. These were sent by GE Composites from Poland.
Hey, Lefty Angler.
This tool,
welcome over to riverboat.gg.
tubes, this big tube, which is race car drive shaft, and then this quite thick carbon sandwich. Like, I think we are going to start with these two because they're like the easiest, and then we work way up to this mean thing. That was quite lame. And then the second one standing up. Oh! What the fuck?
Oh, what the fuck?
completely sure that I was absolutely sure that it would somehow crack and come to million pieces, but no, it's just like crumbled slowly. Very strange. And then the larger one.
Jesus. Oh, Malachi!
Welcome, Hypers.
Thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub to Lefty Angler. That's real generous of you.
Yeah, this one started with bang
Aw,
and then
fuck.
the same thing as last one. Yeah, and then the main opponent of the day, the carbon sandwich. And then this carbon sandwich piece, this is going to be really hard.
Okay, you know what? This guy's charming as hell. It's time for the carbon sandwich.
And I think it's not going to be destroyed with this tool, but let's try anyways. Yeah, it seems that it didn't do anything for the piece. And now I have smaller tool. I think it's about maybe 60% of surface area of last tool, so almost twice the pressure against the carbon fiber. Let's see. Absolutely nothing. And as a last resort, I am forced to integrate this nut to the carbon fiber. I am quite sure that the nut will penetrate the carbon fiber, but let's see.
He's doing this on purpose, right? He knows what that means. He knows. Oh, damn. Just instantly, dude.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
I cannot see nuts and the carbon fiber looks just fine. I think I did some kind of magic trick. Let's see.
That's really cool, actually.
So the nut should be inside of that carbon fiber, and let's have a look. Yeah, it is there. Now you can see it quite clearly. And on the bottom, this looks completely fine. Yeah, this is one of the toughest
Eddie,
things
exactly,
that we are
100%.
crushed, because even the nut didn't break it. It's just like integrated there and leave the most of the thing intact. Yeah, I think this is all for today. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.
That was fun. Oh. That was the delamination? Yeah. Something that you don't want making up the skin of your PO pressure vessel is something that is strong against pressure just from one angle. Exactly! Exactly, Eric Sorry, I was gonna say Eric McKitten. That is not your name. It's Ketten. Gotcha. I'm just so used to kitty-based usernames. Die, monster! You don't belong in this world. Richter, what the fuck? It was not my hand. Howdy, folks. How we doing? Maybe we should read on the history of submarine disasters? Nah, I want to watch Emma Vigeland go on Tim Pool's show. That's what we're gonna do. Also, I think next week I'm gonna start Super Mario RPG: Legend of the Seven Stars. Carl Marky Marks, thank you for the 3 gifted tier 1 subs. Oh yeah, no, Carl Marky Marks, we're gonna get that. We're gonna get to that too. We got news for you, goons. News goons.
Not sure if you saw, but there's a non-zero chance that a civil war or coup going down in Russia.
Yep. Things are getting pretty interesting in Russia. Lot of apples, thank you for subscribing over on Twitch for 23 years. Hard to believe that I've been doing it this long. Thank you so goddamn much. Oh, goodness. Also, just out of curiosity, we're like 20 minutes into the show. What's our viewership like right now? Damn, we got like around 80 people watching, which is not too bad for 20 minutes in. Especially considering I forgot to tweet out that we're streaming. Happy Friday, everyone, by the way.
Sam was gonna kill somebody?
Oh yeah, Tim Pool, I saw a clip. Apparently Tim Pool tries to claim that Sam Cedar said he was gonna kill somebody. Also, chat, you need to help me look pretty for my stream, for my partner later, okay? You guys need to help me look pretty for my partner, because later I'm gonna go out for Pride, so you better help me clean up. And we have officially achieved makeup status. There we go. Let's go, babies. You're already pretty? Well, look, I need to look prettier than pretty. Okay? Let's go. It's time to do some makeup. But before I do that, let's open up some of these things. Yes. Good. Here, we'll start with, since somebody brought it up already, we'll start with the, possible, again, prefacing this, possible, beginning of a civil war within Russia. For those of you who haven't been following Russia-Ukraine, essentially what's happening is that there's a man named Dmitry Prigozhin, who's been known by the colloquial name Putin's cook for many years now, because he initially started in Putin's inner circle as his caterer, and he has since moved on. He now owns one of the largest mercenary groups in the world, and he runs it. And also, it's explicitly a neo-Nazi group that works for the Russian government under the control of Dmitry Prigozhin. I believe Dmitry, maybe, is it Victor? I might be getting the first name wrong. Did you see about the cage fight? I don't... It's not going to happen, so I don't give a shit. Jack feeds on your money, and she is so hungry. True. So, apparently... Well, not apparently. Over the last several months, Prigozhin has taken to social media and has essentially been claiming that the other oligarchs in Putin's circle are against him, that the incompetence of the Russian military is deliberate on the part of Putin's generals. No, I'm not talking about Yevgeny. Or wait, is his first name Yevgeny? God damn. I was a bit confused whether it's good or bad. Seems like they're going for destabilization, which I guess would be good for our enemy to be destabilized. Yeah, it's a Roro. I would, like, if this happened in an otherwise stable country, it would be very bad. In the case of Russia, I think it's emblematic of the fact that a lot of people in Russia don't want to be funneling all of their excess resources towards a war with Ukraine that is getting them nothing, and except a lot of body bags. So, that brings us to today. Ah, okay. His first name is Yevgeny. Yevgeny Prigozhin. So Prigozhin is today claiming that Russia fired missiles deliberately at a Wagner camp, a Wagner group camp, i.e. fired on Prigozhin's troops. I don't think it's going to be a civil war either, but, like, I don't know if his troops are getting shot up by the Russian military. There could be some fuckery going on. This is allegedly from a Wagner camp. I don't think anything's TOS in this video. But they're panicked after a missile strike. So yeah, just their camp exploded. Just gonna do. You can see explosions, etc., etc. Apparently, he's explicitly blaming the Russian military. And not only is he blaming the Russian military, he is threatening some ominous type of retaliation. He's claiming the attack killed 2,000 of his men. Yeah. This is a quote from him, by the way. We will decide how to respond to this crime. The next move will be ours. So, look, Prigozhin is a pretty big blowhard, but also he kind of looks out for number one, you know? I think he might be I think he might try to do some fuckery, you know? Feeling kind of mid today? Could use some hugs? Aw, Entrama, I'm sorry. Everyone give Entrama love. Do it. Do it now. My dude, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome, raiders. We are about to, we're just talking about some stuff. I need to get my makeup kit real quick because chat unlocked makeup for me. I'll be right back. Maybe it's a false flag. I mean, maybe, but for what purpose? What possible purpose does it serve to frame the current Russian military as an aggressor? You know, like, that doesn't make sense to me. Putin is known for false flags. I mean, I guess, but I don't think the Russian civilian forces care that much about the integrity of the Wagner group, you know? Like, I don't think it serves Putin to stage this attack, and I don't think it serves Putin to, like, actually carry out the attack. Take the blame off Putin and blame Shoigu, that's why. I mean, maybe? But even That just seems weird. That seems weird. Okay, need to wet this, and then I think I have everything else I need here. NATO is known for false flags. Which ones? BRB. E.g. Nord Stream? I don't think the Nord Stream pipeline is a false flag. I mean, it could be, but I just haven't seen any definitive evidence of that as of yet. Anyway, moving right along, baby. Well, yeah, that's because the Wagner guy knows that if he complains about Putin directly, he's going to be disappeared. You know, he knows who feeds him.
Carmella, can you...
Emma and Tim will have interesting kids. That's pretty disgusting. Yeah, I'm sure Emma Vigeland wants to have kids with a guy who baselessly calls journalists and teachers pedophiles. All right. Riverboat. Hey, Cassafel, how you doing? Here, I'm gonna start doing my makeup while we kick off this this podcast thing. Just wanted to drop in and say hi. Hell yeah.
The Culture War podcast we're doing live as we're now.
Also, I find it very interesting that Tim invited her on the show, but it's not on the bigger channel. This is on Tim Pool's like spin-off channel that has like half as many subscribers or something. Like, it's weird. It's weird, dude.
Now getting into the purpose for what this show is. When we do shows on Timcast IRL at 8 or so p.m., we'll often have people come in who are either disagree with us on certain issues, and or that's primarily it. When they do, the show transforms from topical news into political and cultural debate. And so we decided we need to make a specific show that just handles those conversations and expands upon them so that we can actually get to the core of what people think, feel, why they want certain policies and why they don't. and a topical news show doesn't really work for that. So Friday mornings, here's what we're going to do. And we were posting this at 1 p.m. Before, but now we'll probably end up doing it live just because. So without further ado, without wasting any of your time, we've got two awesome guests. Sean, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Oh, I'm Sean Fitzgerald. I do YouTube at The Actual Justice Warrior. I cover primarily criminal justice related issues, and I'm happy to be here for your maiden live voyage of the culture war.
And Emma, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Emma Vigeland. I'm the co-host of The Majority Report. Thanks so much, Tim, for having me on. I know that it was a little dicey with you and Sam in terms of him coming on, but I'm happy that you had me on. Honestly.
Absolutely, I'm glad you came.
Yeah, and it's. I just want to clear this up because I know that you didn't want to have Sam on because you called him a grifter, right?
Yeah.
And part of the reason that you called him that is because you said that we put your song through a filter on our show, and I just want you to know. I was hosting that day. We don't have the technology to do that, so I did not do that. So there you go. Clearing that up for you.
The song. So that specific issue was the song we put out, played on your show, had like the mids ripped out of it.
We don't have the technological ability to do that. We're just a bunch of leftists with like a soundboard. I promise you, nothing was intentional.
You don't have Audacity? It's free.
Well, no. The issue here is likely
I don't really
that
know. I don't know anything about.
If you don't have proper ingestion, then like the audio is going through a TV or something, it's going to sound really bad.
Right.
So if we were to like play music on the TV.
Tim, she already said she didn't know anything about audio. She just wanted you to know that like she didn't try and doctor your shitty song. And you know what? I bet he's gonna keep talking about this regardless.
And then put the mics up to it, everything would be ripped out from it. And then if we were to say, listen how bad this sounds, it's misleading the average person into thinking that's what the song sounds like. When it doesn't.
But I played that, and look, I mean, we're here to have a great discussion, I think. But it's interesting that even though I played it, that was your justification for calling Sam a grifter.
It's not, though. The issue with Sam was that I put out a tweet where I said, we try to invite people on the left all the time. They always say no. And then Sam tweeted, challenge accepted, or something to that effect, like, I'll come on. And I was like, oh, this is great, because, Sam was actually the first person to ever shout me out, ever, in my career.
Yeah.
Praising me. And so I said, we will cover travel and accommodation. We'll fly you out. We'll take care of everything. Let me know what day works for you. And he said something like the 13th. And I was like, this is fantastic. And then he DM'd me and was like, I'm not coming on your show. And I was like...
Yeah, it was because of COVID restrictions. I've seen the DMs. I told him he should put it on... I've told him he should put it on Twitter, but he's too good of a guy. I mean, maybe
Well, no,
he
I
will,
published
just to
all the
clarify.
DMs.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting, because I actually saw this right before I was going live chat. From Sam Cedar. Seems Emma Vigeland made Timcast very upset today on his show, and he took occasion to once again claim that I accepted an invite to be on his show and then backed out because of drama, or to cause drama. I'm attaching a screen recording of our DMs to clear the air. Note, we do a live in-studio show every day, but almost every one of our guests comes in via Ping, a video conference software. And 3 out of 3 add... Tim has mentioned that he's the first guy I reach out to when I am frustrated with the failure of Bob's Burgers Fox to appreciate Hugo's dynamism, one of my characters. Tim has been instrumental in helping me come to grips with just being Harold, and I thank him for that. So, yeah, we can... So, what's the details? I can have Lydia arrange everything for you. Show is 8 p.m. live in studio, DC area. Can fly you out and get you a motel nearby. We hang out for 2 hours and talk about current events. Can do a group chat to connect you if you want. You can send me your email and we can set it up. I can't fly down to DC. I do a daily 3-hour show. You don't do any remotes. We set the show up back in January for in-person only. We don't have a way to connect everyone to a Skype call or to display it. We've rejected some centrist and right-wing people for the same thing, so I take no issue if it can't be done. We can try to find a time when you're free to travel, but I get it. It's one of the challenges of getting guests. You and Hassan host your own content, so it's probably harder for you, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. COVID hasn't affected your bringing people into the studio? No one. We actually stopped guests for a while over it. Rogan never did. Then we started up the past month or so again. Trump never did either. I guess you roll the dice and hope you don't pull a 7. Maybe if I have a day off. I don't know why you suddenly took offense to the above reply. Care to elaborate? You agreed to an in-studio interview for publicity. You lied. I had absolutely no idea you only did in-studio interviews, and no idea you weren't in New Jersey anymore. The last one we did was on Skype. You just wanted to rile up your followers. The tweet said in studio we cover travel. You dragged me to rile up your followers, then pretended to be serious, then claimed you were busy, and then claimed it was COVID. You're full of shit. Literally, we just read the DMs, dude. I didn't see any of the travel tweet. I didn't see any travel tweet. Dude, how in the world would I have accepted tonight as a date if I thought I had to travel from upstate New York starting at 3 p.m. after my show and get back here by 8:30 to prep for tomorrow's show? That makes no sense. 8:30 a.m. Bullshit, you did a segment pulling clips from my studio show. Not to mention I do a pre-record after my regular show. A, as far as I remember, it wasn't an interview, and B, just because you do one interview in studio, how could I possibly assume that you only do them in studio? The entire channel you pulled from is a live studio show. You have like 10 channels, no offense, but I don't follow what shows you have. My producers pull clips, and I don't even know if they know. You're lying, you directly criticize my opinions, so either you lie on your show or you're lying now. Yes, I directly criticize your opinions. That's why I'm interested in having a conversation with you. Dude. Tim Pool comes across as like the crazy ex-girlfriend archetype, you know? Just like making shit up like crazy, you know? But you don't watch my content, so you're just making shit up. I watch the clips that my producers pull. I've seen plenty of your clips over the years. Like the ones about Flint, Michigan. What? The one where I called the Flint water crisis a human rights violation? Or the one where I said we need to end the war and use the budget to fix Flint's water crisis? Did I comment on that? Yes. And what did I say? I agree that it's a human rights offense, if not technically, and I'm happy to end war, but we have the money to fix it, and it doesn't have to be tethered to ending wars. In fact, it makes it less likely it will fix the problem. Did I say we should fix it? No, you dragged me for not talking about it. What? This is just This is just Sam Cedar, you know, the boyfriend sitting at a table being like, "No, honey, I didn't look at her. Okay, I had to talk to her. She was the valet. I wasn't thinking about being with her, baby. I love you." Like, this is that. Damn, big mad, yeah. Here it continues. Okay. Oh god, I clicked to... Okay. Do you just not do research and say random shit to random clips with no research? I don't know what you're referring to. You didn't know what you were commenting on. You never saw my show and you dragged me for something you claim I didn't talk about, but do all the time. If you don't want to do an interview with me because you're mad at my critique of your show, then fine. Just say that, but you seem to be changing the topic here. You've never seen my show. When was the video when I said you should talk about Flint more? You used my invitation to trigger your followers, pretending to accept and privately said no. You're a liar. I've seen portions of your show, Tim. If you, like me, do hours a day, I have not watched every minute you've produced. So you knew it was a live studio show with multiple people. Tim, I never suggested in public that you didn't extend an invite. On my show, I explained that I couldn't do it because it was in studio. You yourself told me that you didn't have guests the whole year. You publicly agreed to an in-studio show. I didn't realize it was a studio show, Tim. The tweet said live in studio with travel covered. Or at least I didn't realize that you didn't do remote. You and I did a remote interview, for God's sake. You were calling me a liar because a tweet I didn't see said travel covered and is supposed to mean no remote interviews. You responded to the tweet. What are you talking about? The tweet said open the 13th live in studio. You said yes. Does someone else run your Twitter account? Ha, I wish. Hold on, let me find it. Oh, God. Okay, Tim Pool sends a screenshot Okay, I saw that. I just saw that. I assumed I could do remote. Tim, I am hours from an airport here. It would take me half a day to go to get to where you are in DC. What is the first thing I responded with when you DM'd me? I was surprised that you don't do remote interviews because that's what you did with our last interview. Then you claim I'm lying. That you claim I'm lying seems really hard to believe. Like, what's the lie? You publicly agreed to an in-studio show. Then privately you couldn't travel. Then publicly tweeted about COVID fears. Look, at my DM, I mentioned concern about COVID in our exchange. Ended with maybe if I have a day off, so you dragged me over fake claims of an airtight studio. yeah, maybe if I get a day off. Maybe. Tim, I do a cartoon for Fox. No one's going into studios. I filled in on MSNBC for Chris Hayes. There were less people in the studio than are in your studio. It's about 10 times the size. Maybe you shouldn't publicly try to drag me unless you know what you're talking about. If I wanted to drag you about how irresponsible that is, I would have dragged you for it. The restrictions here are lifted for what we are doing, and we are following all the guidelines. You don't know what you're talking about. I have friends at hospitals in New York. They're all preparing for a second wave in about 2 weeks. They just shut down my daughter's school. Like I say, I didn't drag you for what you're doing. I wrote that was the reason why I wasn't prepared to put myself at risk. Then maybe you should actually read before agreeing. You cited Rogan. I heard he is testing. Is that true? Are you testing before each show? Are you denying that when you said no leftists don't accept your invitation that you neglected to mention it was because of travel or COVID concerns? I don't believe Rogan is testing anymore, not for a while. We are following the appropriate guidelines. In fact, we are cleared for 50 people in studio. Jesus Christ, why on earth would you get cleared for 50 people in studio? That's not why leftists are rejecting. That's why you and Hassan rejected. Vosh is down. Oh my god, dude. Vosh is down. Here, let's see. Goddamn Twitter video player. God damn it. Here, let's give this another shot, shall we? When was this? Sam posted this like 3 hours ago. Vosh is down, and so is Matt Binder. Seems no issue for them. I'm significantly older than both of them. A, B, I do a daily show. Wait, I'm significantly older than both of them. A. B, I do a daily show that cannot be moved or done outside of my studio. C, are you now saying I'm afraid to talk with you publicly and I'm using the travel as an excuse? Sam, you're either an idiot or you're lying. Pick one. You publicly agreed to an in-studio show. Oh, Tim, only idiots would engage with you this way. Now you're just trying to find an excuse. An excuse for what? Having to actually show up. Why would I not want to show up but for the reasons I've stated? Which is it? You didn't read the tweet, you have work, you were worried about COVID, or all of the above. Seems like in any scenario you'd ever seriously consider doing the show. You wanted Twitter drama. I didn't interpret your tweet as meaning it's exclusively in studio, and I don't want / can't travel because of the above reasons. Okay, I get you have your unbreakable format. Fine, but I ask again, why would I not want to show up but for the reasons I've stated? Because your intent was drama. Drum up conflict on Twitter. Yeah, Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar, known for his Twitter drama. Sam Cedar, known for being one of the biggest drama mongers on Twitter. For sure, yeah, I don't give a shit about Twitter dumb drama. Believe me, I'm very interested in us talking again. Look, I am not and have not knocked your format. If that's your format, I can respect it. I was expressing all the reasons that made it too heavy a lift for me. I'm happy to have you on my show if that will be a good show of faith. No travel involved. That last part, a friendly joke, but also true. We could do it over Zoom. Sam Cedar's such a goddamn class act. And he's also a snack. This is true. This is true. Many people agree. Many people are saying. Just gonna like these, juice them in the algorithm here. I'm gonna also retweet. There we go. God damn, dude. So Sam Cedar clearly saw this part and immediately tweeted out, "Nah, fuck you, bro."
Yeah.
Because then what he did was, he then it's mostly water under the bridge, but he made some comment about me backing out or something, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, and then
you have now seen all of the DMs about what he's talking about.
I messaged him. I was like, "Are you kidding, dude? Like, we're gonna pay for everything." And then he was just like, "No, I'm not doing it. Are you
Well,
crazy?"
then just do it. Like, I mean, I'm sure he'd be down to come down soon, and you guys could actually hash
Well, the
it
issue
out.
has expanded more than that. I mean, so at the same time, there was Hassan Piker, who also responded to my tweet, and he said, "I'd love to come." And I said, "When can you come?" And he said, "Let's figure out a date." And so I DM'd him, and
Man, it's so very interesting that immediately Tim just pivots off of the very notion of talking about Sam Cedar to talk about Hassan. Huh? Very interesting. Very interesting rhetorical technique.
he said, "I got to be honest, I'm actually concerned about COVID." And I said, "Totally get it. No worries, man. Thanks for reaching out." And that was the end of it. Sam, however, used it on like a video and then started tweeting about it because it was drumming up a whole bunch of clicks and views. And I'm like, okay, dude, I get it. Interacting with this guy is just going to create drama that he uses to get clicks. I mean, the dude's got like 170 videos about Dave Rubin.
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
cover that. I mean, I think
Cover.
part of what we do is
Because Dave Rubin is very funny, but also not worth dedicating a ton of time to. Because he's a deeply unserious person. And also, not very interesting to watch for long periods of time. Just every so often, he's nice to make fun of.
we try to respond to some of the right-wing ecosystem on the internet because there's a vacuum truly left. You guys have a lot more money than the left-wing media space. We just try to combat it a little bit.
I think the issue with that, I can understand why you'd say that, but it looks like this is a great way to kick off the show, actually, like the start of the culture war. I actually don't think whatever this space has more money because this is a fractured independent space of varying ideologies.
Tim, I'm in your compound right now.
Yeah, I'm rich. What does
I
that,
live
what
in
does
a
that mean?
one-bedroom. I mean, how did you get rich?
I started a website, took memberships, sold ads on videos.
Yeah, but the reason that you
Speaking of, support Riverboat Jack. Support independent media today. Throw subs and donos towards Riverboat Jack. And come on over to riverboat.gg if you would like.
get ads and that we don't is because you more adequately serve capitalism and we challenge it.
We get our ads pulled. What do you mean? There's whole organizations dedicated to getting all of our ads removed.
Right, but the proof is in the pudding and where I'm sitting right now.
So this is memberships. This
Okay.
is almost entirely because people pay to become members of our websites. You know, if the Majority Report, you guys have been around a lot longer than I have.
Mm-hmm.
The inability to provide a product to a customer does not mean that one political faction has more or is granted more because of capitalism or anything like that. Like if Sam is unable to, I mean, Sam's had way more subscribers than me for a long, long time.
Right.
And he just like and I'm not saying this to be like mean. I'm saying if he doesn't know how to turn revenue, the issue is more so you need like a COO or somebody who's going to say, here's how we provide something to a market that generates revenue so we can expand our business. So we're better at that here, I suppose, is the easy way to put it.
Well, no, because what you say here is more attractive to investors and advertisers. I mean, we're basically
no
only
investors.
members and okay, well, other right-wing media like the Daily Wire and stuff like that. And even what I'm looking at a Rumble,
How How big is Tim Pool? Tim Pool is one of the most watched conservative influencers in the world. Like, this is his off channel. It has 1.3 million subs. Timcast IRL. Timcast IRL has 1.5 million. Like, he has several million people who watch his stuff, you know? I think a few other things as well. Hey, Dirtjer.
What I don't know, what do you call that? Logo right there.
Also, he has several other channels. I think, yeah.
It's like a rectangle.
Yeah, I mean that's a David Sachs. That's a venture capital backed venture, I believe. At the very least, Peter Thiel is involved and invested.
Wait,
There's no equivalent on the left.
Why wouldn't
Absolutely
you be able to
not.
get advertisers if like David Pacman and the Young Turks have advertisers? Your content's not like too
We do have
dissimilar.
advertisers. We just have, advertisers that are a little bit more within our system of values. And we're trying to combat corporate greed. We don't have a ton of advertisers that I think align with leftist, or we have advertisers that we try to include in terms of like leftist values as well. But just by the nature of left versus right, it's asymmetrical warfare.
But you guys
but honestly, Sam should just put
you're
put those
passing on
DMs out there.
advertisers that don't align with your values. So
Yeah.
like you have
But we do the
those
same
options.
thing. We do literally the same. We have like 4 advertisers. We have
Right.
like 4.
Right. Okay.
So our website has no advertisers, and it's almost entirely membership funded.
Yeah.
So
I mean, look,
everything here is because people give us $10 a month.
we're really trying to cover politics on our program, and I think that that's what is like our central focus. I mean,
Why
you
make
talk
a
about-
video about me and music?
Well, I mean, it was a little fun because it was kind of funny. But I mean, Sam comes from a comedy background as well. I would say that I think you misrepresent what our show actually does. The first hour, the free hour of our program before we go to the membership portion, is one that we literally have experts on Social Security, on international politics. It's not, honestly, something that is conducive to, it's dry. It's not conducive necessarily to a ton of capital investment or advertisers. And we're
Right, so
trying to
we
make
don't
a
ha-
difference in the world.
We don't have investment or
Sure.
we have like 4 advertisers. Actually, we have 0 advertisers, and we got rid of them all. So
Okay.
we ended all of our advertisers. To be fair, on the podcast version of things, I think we have like 6. On the YouTube side of things, we've actually gotten rid of all advertisements. So now it's just like whatever YouTube does, they do.
Right.
And then we're starting our own companies. The reason we started our own coffee company, it's because I'm not going to say the name of this person, but there are organizations that lie in order to get our ads pulled. And so that's happened to us.
Aw.
Hey, look, subs. Also, Jimmy Dora's an idiot. Bawahahaha.
True.
Bawahahaha. 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 BWA.
I do like that it inexplicably says BWA each time. This is all lies. He has to have some right-wing investor. I don't think he does. I don't think he has to have some right-wing investor. Like, he has several channels with over 1 million subs, and like, not only that, he has paid subscribers on his website where YouTube's not taking a cut. And I think that genuinely he has a ton of income, and I think it's relatively independent from a right-wing investor. However, he knows
It's shut the asterisk
True.
up Friday.
Every day is shut the asterisk up Friday. That are all routinely demonetized. You can't be demonetized if it's on your own website. I think that I think he doesn't particularly need right-wing investors. And I think that he has more than enough he has enough capital to build a skate park in his basement, okay? Like, I think he has enough capital to like start a coffee bean company. You know? Is Yi still associated with those guys? Some speculated he's between Manic episodes. Yi allegedly is now distancing himself from those people. I don't know what's going on. It's insane. It's not going to amount to anything, and he should just go to therapy, and also stay on his meds. Also, Catalina Gearbox, thank you for the $5 dono, and Paladin, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Hot diggity damn, folks. Thank you very, very much. And now we are only 13 subs away from me putting together a Pride look for tonight.
One example is that there is, well, I don't get into too much of it, but there's a group that has argued that I have claimed that Donald Trump won in 2020, and they've used that to raise tens of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
I never said Donald Trump won in 2020. In fact,
you did say, however, he would win in a 50-state landslide. Tim Pool actually said that Donald Trump would win in a 50-state landslide. Can we find the video? Can we find the video for this? Oh, God damn it. Is it here? Yeah. Oh, I can't play this. I can't play it. It has the fucking crab song over it. God damn it. I get the MCA'd for that. Here, I think.
All right, so
Can I just get the clip? Can I just get the clip, man? Okay, I can't get it without the music, apparently. Damn it.
since Joe Biden got inaugurated, I said Trump lost, and these people need to accept it.
Right. Well, you said there might be a race war. There was that.
When did I say that?
I'm not sure, but you also said that.
I don't think that's a true thing.
The 10-year-old who got an abortion, who was raped, you called that a hoax. Have you retracted that statement?
So there's very deep context to that. What we're talking about when I say hoax.
But that's been proven. I mean,
Right,
charged.
right,
the rapist has been charged,
right,
and the doctor who provided the abortion fined.
So this is a really good example of the problem in the culture war, I would say. See, you don't know what I actually said, because I didn't say what you're describing.
You did. I just watched it last night.
Right, and so what I said was the fact that they politicized this to win a political point is the hoax, not that the child was abused.
How does that constitute a hoax, Tim?
So, like, let's say there's what's a good example of this?
Oh, hey, interesting. Apparently, there are recordings of Tim Pool talking about how he fully expects a race war in the near future. Yeah, okay. He's just lying.
Ahmaud Arbery. Ahmaud Arbery is a really great example, right? So here's
no, I'm talking about this example though.
Right,
the one that I just brought up.
So right, if I can't explain to you that manipulating a story for political gain is the hoax, then I don't know
What's
what
the
else
manipulation?
Oh man, this is an old story. I have to pull it up. I think the issue was that they were able to actually get the treatment in state, but because of the law, they decided to seek it elsewhere. And I said, that is a hoax. I didn't say that it was a hoax that the girl was abused. I said, if they could have sought treatment in state under the exemption, I think it was Ohio, right? There was an exemption saying in the cases of abuse.
Interesting. Recently, Tim Pool hired a far-right extremist to run his website, and in private, he'll go beyond howling about civil war. On a few occasions, he put it more explicitly. A race war is soon to come. When Pool said so to Tariq Johnson, a black then-employee of his defunct media company in 2019, he also told him to choose a side because his ex-boss couldn't ascertain which side you're going to be on, is how Johnson recalled Pool phrasing it. Two individuals familiar with the events backed up Johnson's account. Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, cool stuff. Cool stuff, bro. Cool stuff.
the treatments are permitted, but they decided to make a public statement and leave the state anyway, I said, that is a hoax.
It was not a public statement.
Well, but that's my point.
No, rape and incest exemptions are non-actionable. This is like well documented with abortion activists. How long do you think it takes to prove a rape or incest case before you're able to use that carve-out to actually get an abortion?
Well, doesn't it depend on how the law is written? Do you have to prove it, or does it have to be alleged?
I mean, first of all,
let me just answer that point real quick so we can clarify the thing on.
Sure.
I never said it was a hoax that the girl was abused.
Okay.
That is incorrect.
But honestly, this is a part and parcel of what you do, is you put that kind of statement out there and then you put caveats in to protect yourself.
Like
but
me saying that someone manipulating a story for political gain is a hoax is
it's not a manipulation. That is the kind of thing that's going to continue to happen as abortion restrictions happen throughout.
By the way, Tim Pool is just lying here. After the arrest of a suspect, YouTuber Tim Pool calls the story of Ohio child rape victim a hoax. Here is the direct quote. "There's no rape kit. There were no criminal charges, not until now. Why didn't anyone knowing this girl report this? I do believe it is a hoax."
It's possible that the little girl would not have been able to get the services she needed because there's no way she could handle this pregnancy. It's sad that the life of the baby will be terminated, but probably would be considered to be not viable anyway. Now look, there's a middle ground here, and I think Daily Mail hits on it. There's no guarantee she would have gotten the services, but hold on there a minute. Why didn't the left report the rape? Why didn't they go in Ohio to abortion services, Planned Parenthood? Why didn't they say, we want a medical exception for this, and make it a pressing public policy issue that they would have won on?
Because the left wants all abortion to be legal, not just some abortion, because again, sometimes people get raped and then they get pregnant and they need to get an abortion and they don't have time to sit through the entire judicial process. Jesus. That's just one example.
I think the issue is the reason it played out the way it did, the reason it was not reported, is that the left would have lost. I will say this. This one's not a clear-cut hoax in the sense that someone made up a fake story. It's a hoax in the manufacture of the story to a certain degree. It is possible.
Yeah, he's calling it a hoax.
The little girl would have went to the hospital and they would have said, no, you're carrying this baby, we won't do it. And the government would have said no. But I really, really doubt it. You think anyone in politics in Ohio is going to accept a 10-year-old rape victim being forced to carry a baby? That is just so far beyond reproach. You can already see when the story was...
Tim, yes, actually. Like, yes. Evangelical Christians, the far right, argue that there should be no exemptions. And even the more moderate ones who advocate for exemptions, they just doing it to make themselves feel better because those exemptions aren't actually things that can be acted upon. Where are you going to go for an abortion when all the abortion clinics are closed down, buds? What hospital is going to want to take the risk that they could be sued into oblivion? God damn it.
Was presumed to be false. David Yost says, well, you don't have to leave. We would take care of this. If the left reported the crime, if the left went to Planned Parenthood and said, we want the abortion, it would have happened. And there'd be no story. There'd be no PR campaign. And the right...
No. She just would have been refused an abortion. Which is why she had to go to a different state in the first place, dumbass. She had to go across state lines because she was turned down for abortion care in the original state she lived in.
Would have said, see, the system
Hey, you're
works.
progressive, aunt.
Imagine what would happen if a little girl went to a clinic and they denied her. And then the left went, look at what's happening. That would have been a powerful, powerful smack in the face of what was happening with these bills, with these heartbeat.
That's what they did. Except instead they used to argue, instead of for a small exemption that doesn't work, the left used it to argue for a free abortion access for all. Jesus Christ. Yeah, the conservatives in her state tried to prosecute the doctor and the person who drove her to get an abortion. Like, the idea that,
Bills.
God damn it.
There's a reason why they didn't try, because the greater
Buffalo
possibility
chicken
was
fries? Those sound great.
medical exemption. There's no rape kit. There were no criminal charges, not until now. Why didn't anyone, knowing this girl, report this? This is why I say...
Obviously, Tim. A 10-year-old who has just been raped is definitely going to be able to go to the police and make a report before cleaning up after the rape. Fuck Tim Pool. What an absolute ghoul.
Throughout the country.
It's
It
an
was
opinion.
a particularly egregious example used to shine light on broader restrictions on
Your progressive aunt, we just started, actually. We're only 12 minutes in.
abortion in this country. I mean, it's an opinion, but you haven't retracted it. It's false.
It's not false. If there is a story and the story is exaggerated or manipulated in an effort to sway people into believing one political faction over the other, you are engaging in a hoax.
I mean,
Bro, you said that, like, a rape kit wasn't done. You were explicitly saying that the rape of a 10-year-old girl at the hands of her family, one of her family members, was a hoax. Absolute piece of shit.
Isn't that what you guys do when you post, like, extreme videos of crime and things like
We
that?
don't do that. What are you talking about?
I mean, you respond to videos that are taken completely out of context, isolated
Like what?
instances.
I don't.
Do you see what she just did? That was masterfully done. Like, she like moved off of it a little bit, but just pivoted to, like, aren't you guys really the ones who are doing everything you're accusing the entire left of doing? Interesting.
I don't think you watched the show because that doesn't sound.
I
like
mean,
what we
I do a little bit.
No, you don't, because
Yeah,
we
I
don't
do.
that.
Yeah. Yes, you do.
Well, that's not true because we don't do that. In fact, one of the points we make specifically is,
You show
especially
subway crime to talk about all of these inflated crime numbers. Crime is down in New York City in 2023, by every metric.
Down compared to what?
Down compared to 2021 and
But don't
2022.
change the subject, right? You
I'm not.
accused us of publishing videos we don't publish.
If it's down in compared to 2021, and there was a giant year-over-year increase from 2020 to 2021, then you're talking about something that's
It wasn't
down.
giant. It was a small bump from the
A
pandemic.
47% increase in homicide
a
in the city of New
small
York is not a small bump.
It was homicides have been on a precipitous decline since the 70s, since the 80s, since the 90s. There was a bump because of desperation in the pandemic, and now it's back down in 2023.
So,
that's irrefutable. That's the NYPD's own data. That's on all major crimes: murders, rapes, grand larcenies, robberies.
This is an argument I'm often confronted with, and it's actually pretty terrible. So crime is down from the peak for sure, right? In some years in New York City, we had 2,100 murders. I think that's the largest ever in the history of the city of New York. However, my standard it's not as bad as the worst time in the history of the city of New York. When I see murders jump year over year from about 319.
Wait, they're not jumping year over year. Like, if you were looking at year over year data, you would see that it's going down.
So 469.
What do you mean year over year? The 2 years that I just
year
listed?
over year, as in from 2020 to 2021. That would be a year over year increase. That is a dramatic increase, and it's the largest since, I believe, 2010. The greatest year over year increase of all time in the city of New York, by the way. But it's all the way back to 2010 numbers.
It's down again.
It's down compared to the...
Look, a lot of apples. Last time Tim tried to do a 1v1 debate with Sam Cedar, he said something about Thanos, and Sam Cedar made him look like a fool. He's never been able to live it down.
Increase, but it's not down compared to 2019.
This was a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic where people's desperation and their mental health was severely harmed. People were out of work. And that kind of desperation leads to more crime. That's the reality of how crime works.
Correct.
Poverty leads to crime.
This
I would imagine
this is inaccurate.
Why do you think 25 people got shoved in front of trains last year?
I don't know, dude.
Well, that's a legitimate question. You're saying that you're saying poverty and desperation results in crime. I'm wondering why it is that you've had these homeless guys. They've been predominant. I think it's almost entirely.
Tim, do you think that maybe if there's economic desperation, maybe there might be more homeless people who are upset and their mental health gets worse? Maybe the poverty there is a factor that makes their criminality higher, leads to more desperate acts. Huh? Crazy, wild.
These homeless guys shoving people in front of trains. Last year it was 25. And so that is
So that's a mental health problem. I mean, we do have a mental health problem in this country. We have an issue with not having socialized healthcare, where people are unable to access healthcare, mental health care in particular, but also every other kind of healthcare. I mean, 28 million uninsured people in this country. That's a massive problem. I mean, what is your stance on Medicare for all and healthcare?
I'm for universal healthcare.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, I think we'd have to have some kind of like basic coverage for universal standard, meaning like if you're having an episode, this is particularly where we bring you in, we help you. If you're broken bones, flu, things that it's like relatively simple and knowledge based. The challenge with it is that we got limited space, we got limited doctors, but I don't think we can function as a society if we have people just dying in the streets like we do with drug abuse and
Well, then you should
minds.
promote housing first policies on your program. Like in Houston, what they did, there was a pilot program under Obama. It was a HUD grant.
Obama.
And they reduced homelessness by 63% over 10 years.
Yep. There have been plenty of test cases in cities across the world where housing first policies largely cut down on the homeless population because those people who are currently on the streets get homes. Mind-blowing stuff.
Because they guaranteed housing. Do you think that the 25 examples that you cite last year, and there's like over 2 million subway riders a day, so you cherry picking that, I feel like is...
It's not cherry picking, it's... you mentioned that desperation leads to crime.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering why it is specifically that we saw this increase. Is it like someone's desperate, but why murder somebody? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, they're experiencing a mental health episode. We do not have adequate health care in this country, mental health care. I hear a lot of talk often after mass shootings that mental health is the most important thing in this country. Then we should have socialized health care so everyone can have access to it. And that paired with a housing first policy where cities don't become urban centers for just bridge and tunnelers who want to come in and see a show, or for restaurant associations, where places where people can actually live and there's guaranteed housing for people. If we were able to do that, we would be able to drastically reduce the crime that you guys are talking about here.
So when you're talking about poverty leading to crime, like what is that based on? Because after Prohibition was repealed,
all of human history,
during the Great Depression, crime fell. During the Great Recession, people with your line of thinking thought we would see a crime spike nationwide. It didn't happen. You can actually look at the crime wave if you wanted to pull it up. That didn't occur. And that was the largest recession in the history of this country since the Great Depression. So what we've seen throughout American history is poverty not leading to crime. What we actually see is the opposite, that crime drives areas into poverty. We look at store closures across the country due to the fact that we have shoplifting. That leads to decaying in the neighborhoods. When people abandon the neighborhoods and you see this blight, that has a psychological impact on people, and that drives people to...
You got plans? Chad unlocked that I'm doing my makeup, Progressive on, so I am doing my makeup.
Commit these crimes.
I
And
mean,
maybe
you're
I'm
working
going out with my
backwards
partner
from
later.
the
No, you're
natural-
actually working backwards.
Wait, but no. Poverty, clearly, this is a very simple concept, leads to something like shoplifting. Why would someone shoplift based on a personal pathology? They're shoplifting because they're desperate.
Not necessarily. Like, so we have a lot of lax shoplifting laws in California, for example.
So they're
and
doing
what
it
they
just for
find is we
fun?
have a lot of organized retail theft because there's no consequences for it.
That's profit.
For
I mean,
instance,
it's not...
People are trying to make money.
Well,
and they're desperate, and we have untold levels of income inequality in this country.
well, is
Since
it
the
income
late
inequality or
Tim Pool accidentally agreeing with Emma here.
late
poverty?
70s, 900%. That's the increase in CEO pay versus 12% for the working class in this country.
That's
you
very
don't think
bad.
that leads to levels of desperation?
So wait, is income inequality the cause or is poverty the cause? Because those are two different things.
I mean, they go hand in hand.
They really don't.
Yes, they do. Because all
Not
the
at
wealth
all.
is going towards the CEOs and to the billionaires in this country.
But it's not a
and
zero-sum
not trickling
economy.
down.
But
I don't know
what does
what
it
that
But
means.
also, if income inequality is the driver of crime, then how come we saw a giant crime decline after the mid 90s when income inequality was going up? In fact, we saw this happen all the way to 2019.
Can you repeat that?
We had a giant crime decline from around 1995, 1996 nationwide from all the way to 2019 while income inequality was rising during that period of time.
Right.
So why would that occur if income inequality is driving crime?
I mean, I'm not exactly sure you're the expert, but I do know that you're saying that there was an increase in crime in 2021 and 2022,
Well,
and it doesn't matter now
don't know
that
if
it's
you can see
going back
this.
down to 2023 levels.
This is just New York
I can't
City.
see this. Yeah.
I just pulled up New York City.
Look at that. Right. Exactly.
So at the start of 1990, crime was at its highest, and it dropped rather massively
Yes.
into just before 2000, where it continued to decline. And then from 2019 into 2020, we see a huge increase. That's pre-pandemic.
Yeah, actual justice warrior is a dumb fuck. I've seen him do a couple of debates with progressives, and he's done horribly each time.
Right.
So there's a couple interesting things to point out there.
No, to be clear, that's not
Also,
that's
this
not
cour- this cour-
pre-pandemic. That's the year-over-year increase. So
Right.
it would be in the year 2020. To be clear, so 2019 would be
No,
the
no,
low
no, no.
number.
The increase actually the draw is before 2020, meaning that could be 2018 to 19 then, if that's the point you're making.
No, it's I've seen these numbers. I'm telling you, you're reading this chart wrong because in New York City, do they have the raw number of homicides on the side? If you
But
track it, you have around.
yeah, this is just
because this
murder
is
too,
just
by the way.
murders right
Oh,
here.
good.
You
Guys-
have about 300, and then it jumps to about 469.
I
mean,
fucked that right up.
Crime dropped everywhere throughout the country since lead gasoline was outlawed. There is
Oh, yeah.
a massive connection, lead paint, lead gasoline predominantly affecting poor and lower income people, which probably did contribute to some of the increase in volatility in that
Well,
kind of instance.
I agree, I completely agree. I read that report. It was fascinating that when we started taking lead out of the atmosphere,
Yeah.
crime started to drop. But that would also make the argument that it's not poverty driving crime. It was like chemical imbalance or something.
It's both. It's
You-
absolutely both.
Well, I think it would.
Real-
I think it
real-
would play a role. Like the lead would play a role because it was in gasoline, so it was in
Right, it's
the
air
air.
everywhere.
Yeah, so it's
And we know
impacting everyone.
it depresses brain function and things like that.
True,
Yeah.
but I think public policy has a huge impact as well because again, we saw a dramatic crime. This crime wave started in the 1960s, right? And this is when we started embracing this idea that poverty was the root cause of crime, that this was more the realm of the social workers, all things that sound really familiar to today. And from 1960 all the way to 1979, the incarceration rate, even though in raw numbers it was rising, was dropping per capita. So we saw this crime increase, and what you would end up getting in 1979 for murder on average was something like 5 years. For rape, it was something like 3.4 years. And obviously, like this created a problem because we just weren't prosecuting people. This is why we ended up going with a mass incarceration solution, which by the way did work, and all these other policies to get tough on crime. You laugh, but you're definitely
No, I mean
wrong.
mass incarceration. We incarcerate more people than any other country.
We have the highest rate of violent crime for any modern Western country.
I mean, I don't have that statistic in front of me, but we still so how does that connect to the mass incarceration point? If it worked, then what does the violent crime rate have to do with it? You just want to warehouse more people?
No, I didn't say when I say it worked. We had we started expanding the prison population seriously in the 1980s to the 1990s. If you go to the Brennan Center for Criminal Justice, which is a left-wing organization,
is.
they say post the year 2000, mass incarceration lost its effectiveness. But most of the mass incarceration was pre the year 2000. So obviously it had some impact, and it ranges. Low estimates are about 6% on the crime rate, which is very low, but the high estimates are about 30%. And the reason it worked is because the philosophy behind mass incarceration is pretty simple. What you're trying to do is incapacitate criminals because the same criminals are often reoffending. You brought up shoplifting earlier. you can actually pull up an article to find out that the same 300 people in New York City represent a third of the shoplifting arrests total for a single year.
Probably because
This
they're
is because they're
incredibly
repeat offenders.
impoverished and they need to find a way to actually sustain their livelihoods in this country.
That,
We
that's,
don't
I mean,
have
that's,
a-
that, but that's put a very good way.
Yeah.
That's phrased very well to maintain their livelihoods.
Well,
So-
no, I mean, no, their life is a better way to maintain.
Sure, but like, I guess my point is, some of them certainly are desperate. But when
Yeah.
you see videos of a guy like shoveling stuff into a garbage bag, that's not desperation.
But
That's
again,
profit.
this is what you do, Tim. You return to anecdotal examples
We're
when
talking
I'm
about 300
trying to
people.
talk about.
We're talking about just the 300 people,
And I am talking
which is the
about
anecdotal evidence.
what 300 people.
He said the same
They're-
300 people, the ones committing the crime. I said,
A
right,
third
these-
of the shoplifting
These
arrests in New York
specific
City.
individuals are doing it for profit.
Okay, so
not
we should have a
desperation.
system of mass incarceration because there are 300.
I didn't say that.
Because I'm talking to you now. There are 300 repeat offenders.
No, we should incapacitate repeat offenders so they stop offending.
Got
So
it.
if
So
you're
this is all
arrested-
about the fact that
if
you
you're
are not in
arrested for
favor
shop-
of bail reform because in New York State, which is now currently being rolled back, we decided that we weren't going to require cash bail for nonviolent felonies and for misdemeanors. And you think that that's a good policy?
To not require cash bail?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that we're rolling it back. You
I think
that's a good
look,
policy?
if you're concerned about people not being able to get out of jail because of their financial means, then I can understand reducing or even eliminating the cash bail system, because I understand if you don't have a lot of
Doing a
money,
really bad
even
job
though
on
you
my
really
eyeliner
only have to
today,
throw around
folks.
10% for bail in most cases, unless it's a like a set figure for the bond, then I get that argument. But what you need, and the state of New York desperately needs this, is some kind of threat assessment. Like, you should be able to hold somebody if they present themselves as a danger or a repeat offender, regardless of bail, without bail, so that they don't continue to reoffend.
Okay, but do you know what happens when people are held in Rikers, for example, in a pre-detention center? How many deaths have happened there before they're even convicted of a crime?
Look, again, that's an issue for how the jailing system works in New York City, and I am in favor of building out the jail capacity because
You're talking about cash bail, though. That is exactly.
He's just in favor of jailing more people, which is insane. Like, yeah, sure, the prison system kills a lot of people before they're even convicted of any crimes, but, we should just build the jails bigger. What if we just built them bigger? What if we kept more people in prison unjustly, and then let cops kill them in prison? That'd be cool, right? That's essentially what he's saying here.
That is
Yes.
exactly the point that we're discussing here.
Yeah.
Right. So you're in favor of people being held before they're convicted of a crime
Yes.
in Rikers.
If
Even though
they
there are
show a
deaths and it's-
propensity to reoffend, 100%.
What is a propensity to reoffend?
A history, like being arrested over and over again, prior convictions, yes.
So you think that they should be held in a prison that has been
It's a jail, but yes.
or jail, excuse me, a jail that has been proven to be one of the worst conditions in the country.
Well, it doesn't have to be specifically
Suicides,
Rikers
dozens
Island.
of deaths just this year, even if they haven't been convicted of a crime.
Convicted of a
Convicted
crime.
of a crime.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think
But that's very anti-constitutional and anti-democratic.
How is it anti-constitutional?
The Fourth Amendment. It violates the Fourth Amendment.
Protects you from illegal search and seizures.
Well, I mean, you are
think it's
the
the
right to a speedy
Fifth?
trial. People
Is it
are
Fifth?
held.
True, I
there-
do
I'm
think-
sorry, Fifth Amendment. Yes.
I do think we should
I
have
could be
reform
wrong.
on the speedy trial side, but the idea that it's unconstitutional to hold somebody pre-trial is ridiculous. Our law is based on English common
Sixth.
law.
6. Damn.
we're all bad.
Our law is based
Yeah.
on English common law, and the reason we have jails is that you would actually be held in a dungeon awaiting trial. So it's like built into the system. Bail is like a courtesy. It's actually a progressive reform in response to that, where you lay down some kind of capital in place of yourself.
How
so
much money do you want to spend on jails in New York City?
as much as it takes.
So just warehousing people before they're convicted of anything.
Well, again, it's not warehousing everybody, but if you have a propensity to reoffend, I think judges should be able to have judgment. It's kind of in the name, and assess these people and hold them.
So you just want to give it to the judgment of the judges. And it doesn't.
Yes, I would like the judges to have judgment. Yes.
Okay, but there should be guardrails in place to prevent judges from. I mean, judges are human beings; they can be unjust as well. I don't really put them
Well,
on
you
the
could
pedestal that you do.
obviously, I'm not in favor of like a $1 million bond for somebody who's arrested for shoplifting, even if they're arrested 27 times. So yeah, you can have guardrails from the legislature, but they can't assess dangerousness right now in the state of New York.
They assess it in ways, the reason we put this law into place, which is now being rolled back, that we're
Wait. So I do not know so far, but I do not like the guy, but I'm not an expert on American law systems. Yeah, no, he's full of shit. Hey, a lot of apples. Thank you, ketamine horse girls.
were deemed inherently racist. They
How
deem
so?
that it was disproportionately black and brown people who are
Okay,
warehouse
but how's that
workers,
racist though?
because at their discretion it was implemented in a racist way. It's
But
the
if you
same
look
way
at the
that
crime
stop and frisk.
statistics, they're
Well, there you go.
disproportionately
So
black and
you're
Hispanic.
so this is what the reality is for you: is you believe that black and Hispanic people inherently are committing
When did I say
more
inherently?
crimes. I mean, this
If
is
you pull up like NYPD crime data, for instance, since you brought up stop and frisk, you can look at the shootings, like the shooting suspects in any given year. And if you find me a year where 92% or greater is not black or Hispanic in terms of the shooting suspects, then I mean, I would be shocked because I've looked at it for the past
suspects.
20 years.
So
Yeah,
that's the
suspects.
cop's discretion.
Dude's like, Also, chat. Hello. We've been going for an hour and a half right now. If you're enjoying the show so far, make sure to hit the follow button over on Twitch, hit the like button for the stream over on YouTube, hit the subscribe button on YouTube if you haven't yet, and consider coming on over to riverboat.gg, where you can be in the on-screen chat, and you can get differently fun colored names and have new emotes, and also you can directly support me with gifted subs and donos, because that is how I am able to continue living. And we are currently 13 subs away from me getting together my pride look for the night. For you, Hikigo Corgi. Thank you.
No, it's you get a report,
Right.
and you get a description of the suspect, and they are 92% every single year or above black or Hispanic.
Can I tell you guys a very famous New York story? There was a black cop, and he went to Central Park and started giving out tickets to white couples having picnics and drinking wine. And he said public alcohol consumption is a crime in the city, and he started giving these uppity yuppies tickets.
Right.
He got in serious trouble. The reason he did it was because the cops would go into the black neighborhoods and give people drinking 40s on their stoops tickets. And he said, how can these people at their own homes, on their own porches, get a ticket for drinking booze? Then when I go into Central Park and say, we're going to apply the same standard, I get in trouble for it. So New York's got serious problems. Even Bloomberg, like, that guy's awful. He made a bunch of, like, I'm not going to say
but
that.
the reason I just want to cut you off because you mentioned Bloomberg, and I want to respond to what you said. Under Bloomberg, 90% of the stop and frisks that were done were, by the way, they didn't find anything, but 90% targeted black and brown people. So you're taking.
So the highest number, by the way, is 86%, not 90%. But go ahead.
You're taking the data and using what the cops did, where they over-police in certain areas, and then pretending like there's an overrepresentation inherently criminally in those kinds of populations, and it's
Okay.
a racist argument.
So you're wrong in a bunch of different ways. So let me just like run through them. So first and foremost, the highest year was 86%. And that was the year with the dramatic increase in stops. And if you ask me if I'm in favor of just expanding stop and frisk, which is different from Giuliani's stop, question, and frisk, although, you know, you might not be interested in that specific difference, to the levels that Bloomberg did, I would say it's unnecessary. It aggravates people.
JSUY got his point hair remover and it's amazeballs.
What? Okay. I'm glad. Thanks for the $5 dono.
Creates a whole bunch of problems. That being said, they're not over targeted because, again, there is no year during the entire tenure of Bloomberg where the shooting suspects were any less than 92%. So what the NYPD does, because it's the most data-driven police force in the entire world, is they map crime through a system called ComStat. When there's a lot of shootings in a specific area, they send the police to those areas. The stops, questions, and frisks all relate to where the shootings are, and it just so happens to be those areas are Black or Hispanic.
Right, but
do
you get accosted on the street by cops regularly in New York City?
It happened to me when I was younger, yes, but like not
Okay,
now.
but do you understand?
But
how
to your point about
90%
hit rate,
how-
because you brought it up, hit rate was not the goal of stop, question, and frisk. Like, this is one of the things where you're like, oh, well, this program didn't work because my standard that I look for arbitrarily shows that it was ineffective. That's like saying a plane doesn't work because it's not a good submarine.
No, it's
like,
not
that doesn't make any
arbitrary.
sense.
90% of the stop and frisks came up with nothing.
True, but the point was to deter the carrying of firearms.
Say, have you done illegal drugs in your life?
Maybe.
I have.
Maybe.
I could have been stopped and frisked, and I could have gone to prison, or I could have been held if I had a little bit less money in Rikers indefinitely until my trial came. Because a cop just decided, hey, I'm going to stop and frisk you, but they wouldn't do that to me because I'm a white woman.
That's nice,
Well,
but anyway, it's about shootings, and the point of the program, and this is stated quite literally, to deter people from carrying illegal firearms.
And I'm gonna,
it 100% is.
Are you in favor of gun control?
I'm
a
New Yorker, so I'm not like a big gun guy, but
let me. This is my point.
Target guns, and that's why.
You definitely got to target illegal guns.
I'm going to agree with
for
Emma,
sure.
but Emma's not going to agree with me. The idea that the police can decide to arbitrarily stop people because they might be carrying a firearm violates the Second and Fourth Amendments.
Well, again,
stop and frisk is completely unconstitutional.
That's why Fourth Amendment was in my mind.
Well, again, it's you're supposed to stop, question, and frisk, and usually it's based on reasonable suspicion, and they're supposed to.
I'm bearing arms.
They're
under the Constitution.
They're supposed to follow the Terry standard.
This idea that because a particular group of people may be carrying guns, we're going to go start stopping a whole bunch of them. I'm like, the Constitution protects our right to keep and bear arms in the first place. So now you're violating, you're ignoring the Second Amendment and using that and by ignoring it, now you're violating the Fourth Amendment. I mean, it's absolutely nonsense.
This is why I'm actually critical of Bloomberg's expansion of the program, because the way it used to work is that if you had a shooting suspect, you would have a description, you'd send cops to the area, and they would stop people with that description, ask them questions, and if there was reasonable suspicion, they would conduct a search. This is why under Giuliani, the maximum amount of stops in a year, and New York City of 8.5 million people, was 90,000 people. And under Bloomberg, it was something like 700,000, maybe 800,000 people. So he dramatically expanded the program to the point where I do think it was constitutionally violative.
So you are kind of to the right of Donald Trump on this, who has been releasing nonviolent offenders.
Donald Trump's.
Yo.
Happy Pride less than 3.
Man, it doesn't know that less than 3 means love. Thank you for the $10 dono, Ketamine Horse Girls. Let's go! We're halfway to our Pride outfit. We need 10 gifted subs, preferably on riverboat.gg, where I get to keep the full value of your sub, instead of on Twitch, where I have to split it 50-50, or on YouTube, where it's 70-30. Let's go!
This First Step Act is absolutely terrible. It sets up a bunch of incentives.
Well, I mean, you're further right than I'd imagine a ton of this audience is. I mean, that's fine. That's
like, I'm not here
extremist.
I'm not here to win over the audience. Well, I will win over the audience because I'm correct, but
audience is mostly moderates.
But Donald Trump's First Step Act had a lot of language about going soft on youthful offenders, and that's one of the reasons why a huge portion of the increase in homicide that we're seeing is among young men, and specifically among young Black men in this country.
I want to.
Cool. Yeah, I wonder why young Black men in economically disadvantaged areas might turn to organized crime. I can't fathom why. Nope, can't figure it out.
Bring your guys' attention to this chart, because there's a lot that it shows. I know it's just murders,
right?
But we're talking about, you mentioned something about the 60s. For some reason, in 1962 to 64, we start seeing, from 1962 onward, a ridiculous spike in the murder rate, offenses per 100,000 population. I don't know exactly why. We can see around 1990, it starts to decline rapidly. There's a couple interesting points there. This is U.S. murder rate. So New York City's broken window policing has nothing to do with it. This is the entirety of the country. This could be one of two things. When the leaded gasoline, that was the 80s, right?
I believe so, yeah.
We were getting rid of
And
it.
the last truck, I think for trucks, it was the 90s.
But this also coincides with one of the, if not the largest economic expansion, or I shouldn't say that now because who knows how you define it with the pandemic and all that stuff. But we had a massive economic boom in the 90s. So this would interestingly correlate with the idea that as people started to get more things, like their lives started to improve, crime, murder rate started to drop dramatically.
Yeah, and I would say that that was a temporary kind of sugar high based on neoliberal policies of Reagan and Clinton, where there was a lot of money that was released back into the public because of massive tax cuts. I mean, we can talk about confiscatory taxation if you'd like, and the top marginal tax rate. You know, the top marginal tax rate in 1961, it's funny that you brought up that figure, 1960, it's 91% compared to 37% now. But like
it went down in the 60s?
Reagan cut a bunch of taxes during that time period, and a lot of people got an influx in cash.
Crime
and then
did drop.
Sorry?
Crime did drop.
Well, right, but that was temporary. That was
Right.
temporary. And then the income inequality kind of set in, and the rich got richer and the poor got poorer. And that's mostly what I'm interested in talking about on my program.
Let me show you guys something which will add some context to the current crime spike. So you see right here, this drop off after looks like about 2007, there's a major drop off in murder. And then it spikes in 2014.
Wait. Are we Gucci? You still here?
Problem with a chart like this is that it doesn't account for technology. The reason the murder rate declined in 2007 was cell phones. So when cell phones became ubiquitous, the ability to call emergency services became instantaneous. So when people were victims of violent crime, you had emergency service notified immediately. And so this resulted in a drop in the murder rate, but not in a drop in violent crimes, not a direct correlation, meaning crime had been going down, but the murder rate dropped more than violent crime in general because people weren't dying. They were being stabbed, they were being robbed, they were being shot, and they were living. That's not murder, so it wasn't counted as murder.
Well, there is a chart, by the way, that you can look at because that actually pairs recessions with this murder chart. And again, the correlation is not really there. And as far as New York, you say that it had nothing to do with broken windows policing.
That map specifically was the U.S. So
yeah, no, I know, but you said it had nothing to do with broken windows policing, but that assumes that there isn't a greater decrease in crime in New York than nationwide, which is not the case. There was a greater decrease in the city of New York. Like Chicago had a decline too, but Chicago's homicide rate, which is almost on par with the city of New York, is 6 times higher per capita than the city of New York. And in terms of raw numbers, it's double, even though they're at a third of the population, which is the same thing that I just said with different math. So New York became the safest big city, and our crime rate actually declined. And in fact, Freakonomics actually attributes this to the legalization of abortion, which happened in the city of New York pre Roe versus Wade. It was one of the 6 states that had it legal electively. So this is like a known thing that people have talked about and speculated on what the result is. Now, also for the environmental
point. Wait, can I just ask you a question about that?
Sure.
What does the connection to what does crime
That's what
have
Freakonomics says, that the legalization of abortion, and they compare it to Ceausescu, whatever country he was the dictator of. They say that correlates with crime because they say all these unwanted children end up being born and then they end up committing crime.
That is certainly a claim. So that's how that works together then. You're saying that abortion should be illegal for that reason?
No. It would be legal abortion leads to less unwanted children being born. And again, you're
so
smiling,
are you in
but
favor of abortion?
I'm actually pro-choice, but not for this reason. But you're smiling. But the thing is, this is what was proposed in Freakonomics. I actually disagree with their analysis. They leave a lot of things out. But
So
again, I use that as an example to show that the New York decline did start before the national decline.
I'm almost positive that study has been called into question.
It is.
Just to clarify, you're saying more abortions meant lower crime? Is that what you're saying?
That's what Freakonomics asserted. It's in their little movie and it's in their original book.
I think that makes sense. If you've got
it's honestly refreshing to see Tim Pool and his guests on the back foot like this. This is actually pretty great.
If you've got 2 parents, if you've got one parent, they got a baby, that baby's getting food. You know, like you could have no job, you could be homeless. Someone's going to find that.
Well,
that
you know
parent
what
is
I
gonna
would
find food for
love
that baby.
to decrease desperation in terms of families in this country. I'm not sure if you've talked about it a ton on your program, Tim, but we should have made the child tax credit permanent that we expanded in the 2021 American Rescue Act.
Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there was a tax credit that was in place, but during the pandemic, it was expanded to be a monthly payment. It also, the amount was increased, so it was up to $3,600 a month for 6 and under, $3,000 for 6 to 17, and then it also was expanded to include people who had too little income to qualify previously. We cut child poverty by nearly in half instantly, and the reason that we don't have it is because the entire Republican Party and Joe Manchin and Sinema essentially nixed it. But this is the kind of stuff that's possible in this country to make people less desperate. If you want less crime, make society a broader, more beneficial place for people with a bigger safety net so people don't have to turn to desperation.
Real quick, this is the crazy thing, because I think the only people who disagree with that are establishment Republicans, like the prominent Republican Party members.
But you should talk about it more on your show.
We do. I mean, I think that I'll go extreme with it. If after your second kid, no more taxes. Income tax 0. Have 2 kids, no taxes.
I mean, I know that there have been certain proposals in places like Hungary that are like that, but they are heavily, heavily tilted towards heterosexual families as opposed to if a gay couple wants to adopt or have children. I don't agree with that because I want more taxation, frankly, so that we could have socialized health care. We could have a college for all act, which honestly you could pay for with a tax on Wall Street speculation. It would be incredibly easy. It's only $48 billion a year, which is less than the military budget increase that we did in 21 to 22, which was around $71 billion. I want to do that kind of stuff. And so getting rid of income tax, I would not be in favor of it.
For families.
But if you want to create tax incentives for families so that they can raise their kids and they aren't in poverty, I am all for that, Tim.
To your point about nobody would disagree, I would 100% disagree with that because, again,
you don't want tax credits for people that have babies?
There is not a demonstration that these policies that these work in reducing crime. In fact, we see the opposite. If you put up that homicide chart, it starts increasing during the war on poverty, which is the greatest increase in. Sorry, go ahead.
Not talking about crime.
She said if you wanted to deal with crime, this is how.
Well, I'm trying to connect it to this, but like,
right. But in the broader sense,
I think the most important thing to take away from this here is that every single Republican voted against the American Rescue Act and the expanded child tax credit. There is one party that is. Look, it's not good enough. I'm more obviously in the Bernie Sanders wing. I have
quick.
deep disagreements with Hillary Clinton-esque neoliberal politicians.
But
yeah, it's the Democratic Party in favor of policies that are going to be helping people on a day-to-day basis like this.
The Republicans voted against a broad bill that included one thing in it. Is that what happened?
Yeah, but they also fought tooth and nail about the actual child tax credit. This was a part of the Inflation Reduction Act negotiations as well. They were not in favor of that too. And Joe Manchin, your senator, right? We're here in West Virginia.
He's awful. We hate him.
I mean, you gotta you're a celebrity here, right, Tim? In West Virginia, you should call on Joe Manchin and say, hey, why don't you do this? Why are you not in favor of the child tax credit?
That dude is neoliberal.
Totally.
To perfection. It's like nobody in West Virginia wants the guy.
Right. I mean, he's very unpopular.
Right.
That's not true. He's actually the most popular politician in West Virginia history.
Go talk to some people in West Virginia.
I'm sure you could find people.
People, dude.
I get
his poll numbers are in the tank right now.
I'm in right-wing nut job territory.
Listen,
this guy lost his mind.
I get why you're against him.
Maybe 4 years ago he was popular because the state, for whatever reason. But people are not happy with him today. I've not met a single person here who likes him.
I mean, they might be upset with him now, but
he's tanking in polling numbers in hypothetical matchups with Jim Justice in the Senate. That's actually a fact.
West Virginia, 86% Trump supporting state.
Yeah.
And the fact that Emma came onto this show in such a hostile environment and is so easily getting Tim to agree with her is, just really goddamn impressive. Good job, Emma.
All of those people despise him for obvious reasons. But then you go and meet some of the more moderate, don't really care, middle of the road people, and they're just like, what happened to that guy? And so, look, man, I see what you're saying, but I'm telling you, like,
No, I get why you're against him. Because
It's not about me. I'm saying like, we'll go hang out in any one of these, and this is the Panhandle. Don't get me wrong, but we were hanging out in Charleston, 5 hours from here. Not a single person I've ever met in West Virginia is like, I like that guy. Not one. I've talked to people who are like, who have told me in West Virginia that they don't like Trump. They would rather have DeSantis. And then they say, Manchin's got to go. He's got to go. We got to get somebody else. He's awful. Because he's like, he's not a Democrat or a Republican at this point. It's like he's a corporate, that's it. It's like he's of the corporate party. He doesn't seem to be catering to anybody.
He has a fine line to walk, in my opinion, to hold a state like this as
Who's
a
the
Democrat.
woman?
And this, like, I get.
The woman is Emma Vigeland, and she is incredibly based. She's the co-host of the Majority Report with Sam Cedar.
I get why she, being more progressive, doesn't like him, but he's like one of the only Democrats that could have won here, which is why when they tried running progressive in the primary,
She
like
tricked
that
him
person
with her
got
feminine
slaughtered.
wiles.
Manchin's,
But I get why you would want to replace him. I want to replace him. The Republicans lost the Senate.
Jim
because
Justice
he was
is very
able to hold
likely.
it.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I just want to point this out. Off the top of my head, I think Manchin's numbers are like 55% disapproval right now.
I can't see him winning. I mean, look, I don't know for sure. I'm not psychic, but everyone I talk to, it's like you've got, I think it's, who is it, Mooney, potentially, and Jim Justice. But Jim Justice seems very likely to get it. We'll see. I don't know for sure.
Well, you
But now we're
brought
talking
up
West
you
Virginia.
brought up Trump and DeSantis in West Virginia. I'm curious because I saw Tim. You know, you've been like upset a little bit about how DeSantis has been, or maybe not upset.
bit.
Okay.
No.
Oh, you're pissed. All right. So I'll characterize it as you're a little pissed at how DeSantis has been using those AI images of Trump. Trump
Used
hugging.
3 of them one time.
Yeah. What?
you know.
What? I mean, can you expand on that thought?
Ron DeSantis' team, in order to smear Donald Trump, ran fake images of him kissing and hugging Fauci alongside real images and then wrote real life Trump over the top.
Right.
And it's one thing to play politics, which I despise. When you get someone being like, Nancy Pelosi voted against this act. It's like the Saving Puppies Act, but it's actually a bill that like cuts taxes for oil companies. Or the inverse where it's like, insert Republican voted for whatever. I despise all of that. But actually fabricating images, shrinking them down and placing them alongside real images and then writing real life Trump on it.
Can you pull up the image so I can see it?
Yeah. So, I mean, is that kind of the core of your, would you say as of now, if you were to vote today, you'd be voting for Trump?
Yeah.
But that's the core of your disagreement?
So, there's a lot more than that. Here, take a look at this. This is as I feel like this is campaign ending. I feel like this.
Really?
Yes.
Dude.
I mean, it's funny to me.
The
It's
manufacture
silly,
of fake images to trick people into voting for someone is, look, this is the open door. Ron DeSantis decided to be the person to stick his foot over the line and say, we will manufacture fake images to win.
I mean, they do say that they're fake. Like I
No.
But people
This is
would
someone,
probably miss
they
this.
don't say it's fake.
No, it says right there, fake.
This is an image calling out
okay.
the fake graphics. They wrote real life Trump, and this is NPR.
Yo, actual Justice Warrior thought that this was from Ron DeSantis's camp where they showed the fake AI images. Yeah, okay, bud.
Circling the fake images to call them out.
Right.
They ran it as real life Trump. Now I understand if you scrutinize the images, you can tell they're fake. This one says Mahehap Wems. Okay, yeah, that's not English, and it's under the White House emblem. But when it's in a video that's a minute long, and you pass this, I've already had people tell me that they didn't realize it was fake, and I've already people say I talked to my parents about it, they thought it was real. And so what the DeSantis fans are doing now is they're like, can you believe Tim actually thought those were real? Like, dude, if you want to play that game and call me stupid and insult me for calling out DeSantis's campaign for doing this, I literally don't care. It changes nothing of my moral stance that this stepped well over the line. Now, I got to be honest. You go back in time to the first time a politician lied, and people were probably like, can you believe he actually lied to us? And we know that's bad, and I hate all of it. But this is the next level. This is like...
Yeah.
Holy,
Well,
it's bad enough they're all lying.
Well, what's the core of your disagreement otherwise then? I mean, because
Oh, he's
if it's with COVID, I would say I'm more on Trump's side with that kind of stuff. I liked Operation Warp Speed. Look, I would have done a little differently for giving
I
away
agree, yeah.
for giving away government money for vaccines. That we should have nationalized them, and the
Well-
intellectual property should have been waived so that everybody could have had access to it. Also in the global
Publicly
South.
funded should be publicly owned.
I'm in favor of that, Tim. So I mean, that's one thing that I think Trump is better. And look, just DeSantis is frankly an anti-LGBTQ demagogue, and that's where I think Trump's less
I don't
dangerous
think
than
he is.
DeSantis. Okay.
Like he is, but I think it's more so the Florida legislature that's doing it, and then he's latching onto it because I think when it comes to real issues related to this stuff, he's mum.
He's been anti-wokeness is the center of his campaign.
Yeah, he
Oh,
kind
Trump-
of made that at the forefront of his campaign.
No, for sure. I like DeSantis
Trump
in a
wouldn't
lot of
even
ways.
send the National Guard against the Black Lives Matter rioters.
That's a different question. That's not wokeness. That's like crime and law and stuff. DeSantis, I think, is mostly surface level. I like a lot of his policies. I think
What do you like about his policies?
I mean, at the beginning of COVID, it wasn't particularly good, right? He did a lot of what everyone else did. But to be fair, I was very much like, I guess, I was very much, Thomas Massey didn't want to do this big spending bill, and I said, this is crazy. The economy, like, we don't know what's going on. There are people dying. We're seeing videos of people dying in the street. And so I think, hindsight being 2020, I look back and I'm like, I probably should not have just gone along with all of that. That was
Yep, Emma's in the bald eagle's nest. Spitfire, you're very clever. I like that about you.
probably stupid. Ron DeSantis did initially, but then changed and said, you know what, this is not making sense. We're reopening. And I think that made a lot more sense.
It was also under extreme pressure. Like Andrew Cuomo was the most promoted governor in the country, and he was the most attacked.
So DeSantis did well in not the first, but he did well in reopening things back up.
But what policies do you like generally about him? I mean, besides the COVID stuff, what are the other policies like as governor? I mean, I think you think it's just the state legislature that's putting together these anti. I mean,
I
look,
think it's mostly
Tim,
them.
you said
he's
that there
signing
was
off
a
on it.
grooming event happening at Club Q, and that was after the shooting, right? Which is essentially kind of saying, well, look, they had it coming a little bit. I mean,
No.
you didn't say that, but that's the
I actually
implication.
said, how do we prevent these things from happening? If people, so I tweeted.
So you actually seem pretty aligned with DeSantis on the
Absolutely
on
right.
the anti.
But I don't think it's him. I think it's the Florida legislature. And if DeSantis becomes president, you think Congress is going to vote for any of these things? As for the Club Q thing, I said, if people keep saying wood chippers, what did you think was going to happen, right? I am saying, stop saying these things.
Saying what?
People keep going online and going, wood chippers, wood chippers, wood chippers. You know what that means, right?
For who, though?
For groomers.
Right, okay.
And I'm like, what do you think is going to happen if you go online and keep calling for death? Like, don't do that.
What do you think is... Tim, what do you think is going to go... What do you think is going to happen if you keep going online and calling people pedophiles? Right? Like, what... Tim, what do you think is going to happen if you keep going online calling people pedophiles, huh? You know, I feel like it's worth asking because, again, you just keep calling people pedophiles on your show for presenting LGBTQ material in classrooms for children to learn that gay people exist. You know, like... Okay, bud.
Stop that, right? We want
he's really concerned about the appropriate use of language.
to stop child abuse. We want to stop violence. That's what we want.
So that's why I hope you have dedicated so much of your program to talking about the Catholic Church. Because that is the institution in this country right now that is most associated with child abuse.
Hands down,
queer people, gay people, trans people, that is not a thing. What is your definition of child abuse?
They're most associated, but they're actually not more abusive than any other religious institution, and they're not nearly as abusive as
no. I want to stay
system.
on this, and I also just
where are the books at? Where did they get moved to?
Tim, though, what policies about DeSantis do you like in terms of what he's running on for president?
Culture war stuff mostly, but I think COVID policy was
plug
good.
for the show.
Oh yeah.
Right, but what's the culture war stuff that you like?
So yes, but the reason.
Hey, Discord and Volt, thank you for the gift for subscribing. I appreciate that. Etymology is a blunt instrument in the hands of verbose pedants. True.
Why I've not been so last year I was like, I think DeSantis is probably better for one simple reason.
No, what stuff do you like now? What do you like that he's running on?
Yeah, culture war stuff predominantly.
But can you expand on that notion?
I think you want me to like pull up specific.
I mean, I don't know. It's like you said
fired-
that you
he
said
fired
that
the,
you like certain things, that you're leaning more towards Trump because of AI images. I would hope that there's a little bit more substance to your
Well,
disagreement.
but every time I try and bring it up, you just ask me the same question again.
Because you're not answering my question.
So I'm trying to.
Okay, go ahead.
So now where was I before you jumped back in? First, the culture war stuff is obvious, right? Parental rights and education bill. Yes, that one's fairly obvious. I don't know about the Disney stuff. That's kind of absurd. What I was going to say is let's go back in time to why I said I was for Ron DeSantis in the first place and why where I'm at now is not. The first thing was last year I was having a conversation with the Daily Wire crew and I said Trump is brash. Many people don't like him. And he won't shut up about 2020. He's a sore loser. Ron DeSantis, at the very least, is dry and can get us something better than, say, Joe Biden.
I know, but I'm still not really hearing
Today.
a specific policy.
Right. So his COVID policy was correct. Okay.
Wait,
These-
but you
these-
just
these are-
said
these are
something with the beaches that
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
that one.
closure.
You can bring it over.
Like his presidential platform. Like
I don't
what
know
are
if
the
he's
things?
got one. Does he?
Okay, so you're
I've not been I've not been on board with him. So we can look at what
and
happened.
you
in-
said parental rights. I'm curious what you mean by that.
Yeah,
Because
like,
I'm in favor of parental rights, right? Like I want parents to be able to, if their child is transitioning, to be able to work with their doctor with a plan and make sure that children are not being driven to suicidal ideation and that parents aren't restricted by the state from
let's talk about one of his policies. in
okay,
particular.
go ahead. I don't want parents to be restricted from the state from giving healthcare to their children.
If I open this book
Yeah.
on YouTube, the stream will get taken down.
Okay.
Did you ever read this book?
No.
This book is in middle schools in Florida. Ron DeSantis had it removed. That's one simple policy he did. That's very good. You've never seen this book?
I've heard about it.
Have you ever looked inside of it?
No, but I mean, I don't believe in censorship.
If
so
I show you a
don't
picture of a
believe in book
blowjob, would
burnings.
you be offended?
I mean,
Can I show you a picture of a blowjob on
I
camera?
wouldn't be offended. I mean, I
No?
think that,
Disavow.
honestly, do you know, Tim, that the more children learn about sexual education in the way that's productive and done in schools, the less likely they are to be sexually abused because they know what is good and what
I
is
can't share
bad.
this image on YouTube.
Do you hear me though about that?
So I think
The more
I
children
think the issue
learn
is
about sexual education, the less likely they are to be victims of pedophilia and rape.
I think the issue is you're confusing sexual education with kink. Right. So I'm looking at this right now. I can't even hold it up.
Yes, Tim. I'm sure she's just too confused. Her little woman brain just can't wrap her head around the distinction. Thanks for that.
Because I can't point it at the camera. And I don't understand why school children should be taught how to perform blowjobs for an autoandrophile.
I don't believe they're being taught that. The
Why was
book
this
was
book in-
banned.
why was this
I
book
don't
in
I
grade
don't
schools?
really know again
Amazon
because
said-
this is
right,
another
so-
case by case example.
No. You
where
asked me
I am
about
not
what
in
Ron
favor
DeSantis
of
did.
censorship.
You asked
I
me
am-
what Ron DeSantis did that I liked.
that he
Here's
banned genderqueer.
that he's removing pornographic and kink books from middle schools is a very, very good one. And I would
Well, for me, my politics are a little broader than that, Tim. I gotta say.
so listen, if your argument to me is that I or anyone else should support your politics because you want to show blowjobs to children, you're going to lose.
Well, I don't think that is a policy done by teachers in this country. I think that this
book
is a
was in schools in Florida,
There
which
are
is
a
why
ton of books that are in a ton of schools. I don't believe in censorship. That's not my bag,
So
buddy.
you think children should have Playboy?
I don't really think so. No,
What about
because
Hustler?
that's pornography. I mean,
oh, so you think a
Tim, you're in
blowjob-
favor of censorship.
Yes.
You are.
Yes. By the way, children should know what blowjobs are. They should know that, so that if an adult tries to prey on them, they know what's happening, and they know that they need to tell somebody about it, and that they know that that's not okay, and that they shouldn't be, like, led into doing that with an adult. Yeah. Yeah, children should know what a blowjob is. Yeah. It's a memoir about being non-binary and asexual. Yeah. No, yeah, like it's literally like an educational book written from the author's own perspective about navigating sexuality as a teenager.
You are.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's good to know.
If you watched the show, you'd know this.
Oh, you're okay. You're
We
pro
talk
censorship.
about
I
how
am.
we're
I
for-
am not. I
Right.
I want children to be able to have all the information that they need in order to
Including
make...
pornography.
No, that's not pornography.
We backup record everything, and
We'll still be recording.
I think we're back.
We are back?
Whoa.
Oh, it's,
Okay,
It's pretty
now-
stormy out.
It broke your
It's
saucer
stormy?
too.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a little
it's rainy. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're live again.
Okay.
There we go. We're back.
Yes.
So the power just
went
fluctuated.
out. Yeah. That
We
was
have-
God striking you down.
That was the
Tim.
YouTube
Striking me down.
So
You're the
that-
one arguing for.
You're the one
you go.
arguing for censorship.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really mind that stuff. I mean, are you in favor of children seeing violence on television?
No.
That scares me a little bit more.
It depends. It's not so simple to say violence, right? But yes, censorship is a good thing, but when done bad is a bad thing.
Yeah.
For instance, Ian Crossland, who is a co-host on Timcast IRL, used to be a moderator for Minds.com, and he had to filter out graphic depictions of murder and rape and child abuse. Censorship is absolutely vital in that regard. So if we're talking about a book like, in particular, there was one called, there was a teacher who provided a book to her middle schoolers called This Book is Gay. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I have heard. That's actually a very good book.
And it provides instruction on she provided instruction to children on how to use adult gay anonymous sex apps.
Hey, chat. Do you know why children might need such information? Hey, can anyone know? Can anyone take a stab in the dark? If kids are educated, they might know that they're being abused. True. And also, chat, oftentimes kids will go onto dating apps when they are not of age. You know, thinking that it's for fun and such. If they know what the dating app is, they know what the dangers are. They can be taught about the dangers of just being a 16-year-old using an 18-plus app to try and hook up. And yes, that can lead to a lot of horrible shit. But like I guarantee you guys, if you go on to like these apps and you look at some of the people who say they're 18 on that app, they are not 18. I guarantee you. Yeah, exactly, it's a Roro. Seriously, I remember so many girls on Tinder saying, actually 17, in the bio. Yeah. Yeah. When I was a teenager, the only apps I used that I was too young for were Facebook and Twitter. But now they're easily accessible dating apps, so I can imagine a lot of kids will try to be on Tinder and shit. When I was a kid, there were apps like Hot or Not. This was like Hot or Not was basically proto Tinder. And like I went on there as like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, and like wasn't aware of the fact that there would be adults on those apps trying to hook up with kids. And that happened. That was a thing. That like was not infrequent with those apps. And so like now as an adult, I look back at that, I'm like, wow, that was incredibly fucked up. And you know what would have really helped me? You know, young, teenage, underage me, it would have really helped if I had, I don't know, some adult educating me on how to safely use and navigate dating apps in a way that wouldn't put me at risk for predators, you know? That would have been useful. His argument is basically if you teach your kids stranger danger, you're encouraging them to get kidnapped. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. A lot of my friends were into chat roulette and Omegle, never got into them, but they saw a lot of dicks. Yeah, 100%. You know, like, yeah, there is also a lot of grooming on Discord, all seeing dude, which is why our NSFW channel on the Discord requires like photo ID. But yeah, it would have saved me a whole lot of trouble. It would have saved me a whole lot of being attempted to be groomed by adults, or attempted groomings by adults. If I had known how to safely interact with apps, and that's what that book teaches. And Tim Pool's against that, actually. Thank you, your progressive aunt. And I would be looking even more fine if we get 10 more subs. Because if I get 10 more subs, I'll be able to change into my fancy clothes.
Yeah, I don't think that's appropriate. Now, look, by all means, you can be in favor of them. I'm not
Maybe
telling you
she
you're
had
not
a
allowed to.
child. Maybe she had a child in her.
Actually, on Discord, I never had to use a photo ID for NSFW. You need to use a photo ID on my Discord in order to get into the NSFW chat.
Classroom
Who wanted to go on Grindr and have sex with adults? Is that your argument?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that. First of all, I don't know. Again, this
Why
is
would a
another.
10-year-old need Grindr?
This is the thing that you do, though, Tim.
Oh, that
You're
I do.
picking-
That's why my Discord has a rule that you need to send photo ID to moderators before you gain access to the NSFW Discord channel.
specific examples that
You
are
asked me for
inflammatory.
one.
asked for a specific
You asked me for one.
Okay, then go ahead. I
did.
don't
We
know
have the book.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
said
in
don't
fa-
show children blowjobs. You
Look,
said you appreciate
I'm
it.
not in favor of censorship. I'm not in
as
favor
an
of
objective
censorship.
observer that's sitting here, you asked for a specific example, he gave it to you, and then you try to say he's broadly in favor of censorship.
Yeah.
It's possibly to make a hypocrisy point later on when he complains about social media censorship or something like that.
No,
But
I
it's
just
like he's talking about this specific issue, and I remember I was working on
Honestly, Hikigo Corgi, like, even I guarantee you that every girl you know, every woman you know, I'm guessing about 9 out of 10 of them. Dear Progressive On, thank you for subscribing. Every woman you know has been, like, the target of grooming, you know? Like, yeah. Almost every woman you know has been groped or violated or catcalled or abused in some way. Unfortunately, you know? I'm 43 and they're still trying to do that shit to me? Yeah, 100%. It doesn't stop. My 30-plus-year-old boss was saying 18-year-old was his ideal dating age. That's so fucking gross. Real talk, okay? Real talk, chat. If you hear a 30-year-old, 30-plus-year-old, hell, even late 20-year-old talking about how their ideal dating age is 18 years old, they're basically telling you in a socially acceptable way that they're a pedophile. That's my hot take. You do with it what you will, okay?
an education series about this kind of thing years before it was popular. Yes, I was ahead of my time. And yeah, these kind of things were popping up all over schools. And I am happy that DeSantis is
Oh, yeah,
like, doing
100%.
something.
We had
apples.
Asra Nomani on the show. She brought in, I think, like 70 books of all of the weird racist indoctrination and sex stuff that they're bringing in schools.
Yeah.
And I said, look, man, it's really simple for me. If someone comes to me and says that they think this book, which Amazon says is 18 up only, should be given to children, I'll say, I will vote against you.
So should the
if-
Bible be banned from schools because it depicts
It is
sexual
banned
acts?
from schools, public schools.
The Bible probably is not appropriate for children for a lot of reasons. And I am not a Christian, so I don't particularly care about whether or not they're going to give a book to children that has something like Deuteronomy 23:20 in it. I don't think kids should be reading that kind of stuff.
Okay.
However, I'm in favor of the parents deciding when it is appropriate for their kids, which comes with very difficult moral questions in that my morality is different from the morality of each individual parent. So that's why I'm kind of like, the government probably shouldn't be the one doing it.
Have you had an expert on sexual education on your program to talk about this kind of stuff?
Yes.
What did they say? And are you in
been a
favor
very,
of
very long
abstinence
time.
only?
No, it's been a very, very long time.
You're not in favor of abstinence only
I
education.
think abstinence only is
So
silly.
you're kind of hinging on this book that has pornographic material in it that like okay.
There's a difference between sex and kink. Right?
Okay, sure.
So the many individuals on the left have made arguments in favor of kink for kids, which is weird to me, and I think is inappropriate. I think kids should learn about sex. I think the parents should decide when it's appropriate. This is why typically at schools they would give out notice to the parents like, we're intending on doing sex ed. Here's the subjects we're going to cover.
Nothing's changed.
The
in
issue
that way.
with Florida was that they had a policy where they would not instruct parents and actually were told not to talk to the parents if the kids were suffering identity issues. Now, the state should not intervene and take away the rights of the parents in that in that way.
Wait, can you say that again? The state. What about gender identity issues?
So in Florida, what prompts a bill like this, and it also happened with stuff in like Nashville, was that the schools, and I think they do this in like Washington and Colorado, the schools were actually telling teachers not to talk to the parents if the children were having some kind of identity issue. And so this led to suicides.
No. What leads to suicides is that children are being told that they cannot operate and be who they are as the gender that is who they are in their heart. That's what's leading to suicides.
But I'm talking about one specific. Well, I think it's like
again, you're talking about one specific example. I'm talking about
you
broader.
can't ask me for like.
I talk about politics, Tim. I don't talk about anecdotes.
Well, he's talking about policy that they would not.
You asked me what the policy was.
Talking about school district policy. I cover national
you asked
politics.
Me too.
Yeah. All right.
You can't ask me a question. Then when I explain where the policy came from, be like, no, that makes no sense.
You go into individual anecdotes.
I'm telling you why the policy was written.
Okay, go ahead, Tim.
That's why the policy was written, because there were children who were having identity issues, and the schools were instructed, the teachers were told not to tell the parents. This led to, I think it was a suicide attempt. The parents got angry.
Who had a suicide attempt?
A little girl tried to kill herself.
Okay, again, this is one case. Go ahead.
And there was also another, right. I'm not talking about, look at this anecdote, let's set policy. I'm saying Florida set a law because. Okay, I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm saying a thing led to a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
My position is that parents should be fully informed about what's going on with their children, and teachers should not withhold that information from them. It is not up to the state to decide what is best for the kid. There are certain exceptions.
But the state is deciding what is best for the kid in these instances. They are essentially saying that children...
God damn.
Take Florida, for example. You're talking about Florida. Let's talk about it. They're saying that children cannot, under the supervision of their doctor and with their parental consent. None of this happens, by the way, without parental consent. It's illegal. They cannot work with their doctor on a healthcare plan for them to transition into their gender.
I'm not talking about that. I mean, you're talking about medical intervention. I'm talking about
but you have spoken about this on your program before.
Yeah, I think like if a doctor prescribed a lobotomy to a kid, the government should stop that.
It's not a lobotomy. That's not what it is.
I'm saying that there are certain things in the medical world that we've prohibited.
Right, but this is not what should.
One of them.
But the American
you
Journal.
disagree? You think it shouldn't be?
No,
I'm not arguing you're wrong.
Every single expert that is reputable on this front disagrees. The American Journal of Pediatrics did a study.
Casino fan, did I read wrong when I read that the age of mental maturity is 25 to 26? I don't know what that means, right? Like, what does that mean when someone becomes 25 they just stop learning, or is it like are we in a Logan's Run situation? I disagree. I don't think that means anything. There's evidence that like brains continue to grow and change up until 25, but brains also grow and change after 25, just at a slower rate, you know?
About transitioning children. They studied them over 5 years. 94% of the children continued to identify as the gender that they were choosing to identify with at the beginning.
For 5 whole years?
Yeah,
wow.
yes.
When placed on Lupron.
No, then the 6% that were remaining, 3.5% identified as cisgender, 2.5% went back, yes, but they were heavily weighted under the age of 10 years old,
this is
where
not
they
material to
never
what I was
had
talking about.
any medical intervention. This is how actually trans care actually goes, Tim. 8 to 13 years old, you're put on puberty blockers. Those are entirely reversible.
Oh,
then
get a
after
memo.
That,
I'm sorry.
that is
That's-
100% true.
It's just not true.
That's 100%
Get a memo.
They're not entirely
Then
reversible.
16
to a certain degree, they can be.
Then why are they used in instances where
They're
someone
off-label
has
use.
puberty that
Precocious
Yeah, that's
puberty.
precocious
Right,
puberty.
exactly. And there's a carve out for that in the Florida bill, by the way. So cis kids can have it, but trans kids can't.
Because that's
then
the primary
then
label.
16 years
That's the
old.
primary use of the drug.
Okay, but
But-
that's
but-
not what
but-
doctors say. No. Then 16 years old, that's when hormones happen. Very, very, very rarely are there any surgeries under the age of 18. I don't hear you talking about rhinoplasties under the age of 18 on your program.
We have.
Oh.
Maybe you haven't heard it because you don't watch the show.
Okay.
I've also said child beauty pageants are wrong and they're disgusting. I've also said Hooters inappropriate for kids. And I said we shouldn't be giving minors any kind of cosmetic surgery. I don't even like tattoos or piercings. So when it comes to...
It's quite puritanical of you, Tim. I'm surprised. You have a lot of
Yes,
swords
I don't think
and
children
beers and stuff in here.
I don't think children should make should be altering their bodies.
But you just said parental rights. So if under 18, parents have to give consent for piercings and tattoos and
Do you think a
for
mom should have the
rhinoplasties.
right to remove the salivary glands of her child?
No.
What
Are
if
you
the
for
doctor
parental
prescribes
rights or not?
See, this is a
Every right has limits.
Well, this is actually interesting because what you're asking, we've actually talked in a great depth about on Timcast IRL. That
Are you for parental rights or not? I just asked.
that question right there leads in two different directions, which is, again, we've addressed. If you watched the show, you'd have heard the statement we've made about
Well,
it.
I heard you 5 minutes ago say you were
Right.
for parental rights, and now you're saying you're not.
Where do parents' rights begin and where do they end is strictly a moral question based on the moral frameworks of an individual. If there is someone who goes to a doctor and...
Yeah, but we're not talking about individuals, Tim. We're talking about societal laws and regulations and such. So what are you talking about?
in, say, Saudi Arabia and the doctor prescribes female circumcision, they're going to argue it's the parents' rights. We would argue
Another
against
hypothetical.
that.
I'm talking about
but
reality.
these things literally do happen in other countries.
But it wouldn't be a
point-
But I'm talking
doctor.
about this
It-
country, and I'm
Right.
talking
And
about
so I'm
parental
making
rights.
a point, right? The point is the idea that parents have a right is limited to what our moral limits are. Meaning, if you morally are okay with a child sex change, then you're going to argue in favor of parents' rights. If I say you shouldn't be able to mandate vaccinations, you'd probably argue against the parents' right, right? Should a school be allowed to mandate vaccines for children?
Yes.
But what about the parents' rights? Are you for parents' rights?
Well, I'm for public health.
But you're not for parents' rights. You see, that question leads nowhere.
No, I mean, look, Tim, I've never made parental
the
rights
hell?
a plank of my own politics. I'm saying this within the context of what you just said 5 minutes ago.
And I'm
where you-
explaining.
Yes,
Parental
so you-
rights extends to my morality.
So, right, your morality says that you think that trans children and parents, even if they agree with their child and the doctor is supervising this kind of transition, you're essentially saying that you don't believe that they should have the power and ability and that the state should intervene. That sounds like big government to me.
Yeah, I'm not, I don't know if you know who I am.
Well, okay, then there you go. That the state should intervene because you don't believe that parents should,
at
and their
first,
children, they're in agreement.
So at first, my position was, early on, if the doctors are prescribing it and it's the best thing they can do, I think we're looking at, in the past 4 years, about 50,000 or so cases of cross-sex hormones for kids, so be it. Then we started seeing like the Tavistock scandal. We saw Finland, Denmark, Sweden start pulling this. The research coming out showed that it was not particularly effective. And then we also had multiple studies showing that desistance rates for those who did not take any, who did not receive intervention was actually upwards of 95%. And then my position became, it probably is the appropriate thing for the legislature to say, we're not going to allow this anymore.
Okay, I just listed the American Journal of Pediatrics. That's incredibly reputable. Incredibly reputable. 94% of children continued care after age. Take a Netherlands study. This is Lancet. 98% continued hormone therapy
Get
on
his
follow-up.
ass.
So you no, but the other one's a 5-year study. This is just a secondary
after
one.
what point?
Well, no, so this is the issue, right? Those studies were based upon whether a child was placed on puberty blockers or not. When a child is placed on puberty blockers, they tend not to desist. When a child is left alone, they tend to desist. So the issue is then if, according to, 10 prospective follow-up studies from child and adolescents found desistance ranging from 61 to 90%, then the safety of the children would lean towards non-intervention.
Go ahead. Again, we should probably agree to look at these kinds of studies before we're going to pull them up for a debate, because what I'm pulling up and what I'm referencing is inherently reputable, and you can find any information that you want on the internet. I am with a majority of doctors on this front. That's
a broad statement. I don't know about that.
No. That is.
What the fuck is he talking about? He's basically pulling cherry-picked studies that agree with him, or studies that he can manipulate into seeming like they agree with him when they actually don't, which the vast majority of studies do not agree with his position whatsoever.
actually a fact. That is 100% a fact.
Well, I've seen this movie before. So what's happening is you're referencing detransition under a system where they wouldn't be put on puberty blockers necessarily, and then they would go through the cross-sex hormone. So everybody who would have desisted at the point of puberty, which is what you're referencing, is already excluded from her sample. So
Right.
like, and I don't even think you would
Oh,
disagree
right.
with that once they're actually past the point of puberty and they still think they're in the opposite body or whatever, and they go through the process, there's a very low detransition rate. But you're specifically talking about desistance.
Look,
And I remember
I'm
this
saying-
because
There's also a very low desistance rate for trans kids. Oh god, dude. Hey, One Hand Wonder. Hey, Vox and Socks. How we doing, folks?
this
this
happened
is
when
what-
you argue with the serfs.
This is what it boils down to. I'm not a moralist. I don't have like the arrogance to believe that my personal preferences for how my life would be lived should be imposed on other people. I'm trying to make a argument for a case for. I'm trying to make a case for a broad set of policies that are going to make sure people are as happy as they can possibly be and can live their life to the fullest. So if you want to impose your morality on people, it sounds like fundamentalism. For me,
I
I'm
mean,
in
come on.
favor
Have
of
a real
mu-
argument.
But if most
No,
peop- But
I
hold
am
on.
having a real argument.
That's not an
You
argument.
just said your
I
morality
said, here's
is
a study.
Oh,
that
man.
Here's a study that shows desistance rates up to 95%. Hold on. Desistance rates are shown up to 95% with non-intervention. So then we would lean towards non-intervention. And you said you're a fundamentalist. You didn't make an argument.
No,
you made
earlier you talked about how your morality is what you want to dictate in terms of this policy.
Wait,
You see, this is what I was talking about with Sam.
Okay.
Right? The inability to grasp philosophical concepts. When I explained to you that you are opposed to parental rights because you're in favor of vaccine mandates, right? I don't think you can understand the duality of the statement you're making.
Oh, you can't understand it. Oh, okay then. Ooh, la di da.
Are you in favor of parental rights can go in one of two moral directions? You do have a moral
I
stance.
wasn't
you
talking
also
about
are a
I wasn't
fundamentalist.
talking about parental rights. I was using that as a way to talk about
Right.
your
My point
statement on
is,
parental rights.
If
And I
you
fully
if you have a
grasp
moral
concepts
position
of
on public
morality.
health
Tim,
and you want
I
to
have-
impose that, then you too would be a fundamentalist and you've made a nonsensical statement.
Oh, he's so mad, dude. He's so mad.
If you want to make an argument about why me using this data is incorrect, I'm all ears. If you want to tell me
I
I'm a
haven't
fundamentalist,
seen the data, so I can't.
well, then
I
don't make an
can't.
argument about it if you don't know the data.
No, I do
Right.
know the data. I use the American Journal
just said
of
you didn't.
Pediatrics. I don't know the data that you just
You
pulled
did
up.
not look up desistance rates. You did not look up anything other than what fits your narrative.
Tim, what you just said is that you want your morality to dictate policy.
No, I didn't.
I want people to have freedom
I
to
certainly
do
did
what
not.
they want.
That's just not true.
You,
I said
So
that everyone's view on a question like parental rights is dictated by their morality. You do have one as well. People have a moral framework. You've told me that you're in favor of public health. That is a moral stance. So are you a fundamentalist? Do you want to
I
impose
talk
your
about
moral?
politics. I don't talk about things that are so abstract. I talk
You're in
about
favor
what's
of vaccine
in-
mandates or not?
Of course.
That's a moral position, not a
It's
scientific one.
No, it is a public health position.
Well, it's sure your morality dictates that the government can impose a medication on people against their will.
Because I'm trying to create a
That's a
society.
moral question.
No, because I'm trying to
That's
create.
moral.
Sure, I think I am more moral.
Wait,
But you
can-
just said you weren't. You said you were not a moralist.
No, I'm not. I am dealing in politics, and politics can create outcomes that are moral or immoral, and I'm dealing in the ones that I think will create the most.
So you're a
the
moralist.
best outcome. No, moralism.
understand. What do you-
Moralism in the way that I was referencing it is one that falls back on notions of fundamentalism
Up yours,
and
woke
imposing
moralists.
morality that is individual to you
I'm
on
not
the rest
talking
of
about
society.
imposing
I am
morality.
talking about
I'm talking about
creating a
data that
society
shows
creating
children-
a society that gives people the freedom that they.
Moralism.
No, that's politics.
You want to
bro.
create a society that does a works towards a goal of your personal perspective.
What you are talking about is imposing your narrow set of ideas about how society should be, or
Based on the
how
scientific
things-
research I pulled up.
No. It's
No, I literally pulled a study
No,
up.
you want to restrict people's ability to do what they want to do with their bodies. That's what you want to do.
Do you think
I don't
that people
believe
should
that.
cut their hands off?
I don't deal in abstract, ridiculous hypotheticals because I deal in reality. I
Do you
cover
think
politics.
so? You're in favor of female female circumcision?
That doesn't happen in the United States.
How much do you
So
want to
what?
bet? How much do? No, you're wrong. It does happen.
There are
does,
very
but, like-
small amounts. I am not in
So
favor.
you're in favor of it?
I wouldn't.
If you want to restrict what people do with their own children, you're against parental rights.
That's not the same thing. Is a doctor? You
want to talk about Dearborn, Michigan? I've actually gone there and done the research. I've actually done the boots on the ground journalism in this story. Okay. Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Right. Because female circumcision is a bad thing. We do not want these things to be happening. And even the parents were going to doctors to get it prescribed. There are limits. There's the famous story of the Kennedy. They got the Kennedy got it lobotomized because the doctors prescribed it. Just because there's current scientific research that leans one direction doesn't mean we move absolutely in one direction. What we have here is a very prominent set of studies, which we've referenced on the show numerous times, showing desistance rates for minors who do not receive intervention in terms of affirmation or gender sex change is upwards of 95%, in which case
that is not the case. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh look, here's an article from the American Academy of Pediatrics, published in the medical journal Pediatrics. Gender identity 5 years after social transition. Oh, that's wild. Oh, we found that an average of 5 years after their initial social transition, 7.3% of youth had retransitioned at least once. At the end of this period, most youth identified as binary transgender youth, 94%, including 1.3% who retransitioned to another identity before returning to their binary transgender identity. Total of 2.5% of youth identified as cisgender and 3.5% as non-binary. Later cisgender identities were more common among youth whose initial social transition occurred before 6 years. Their retransitions often occurred before age 10 years. Oh, damn, that's crazy. That's crazy. 94% over a 5-year long longitudinal study persisted in their gender identity, and wow, that's wild. Only 2.5% of the cohort detransitioned to and desisted to be cisgender. That's wild. That's crazy. It's almost like he picked a study from 2018 instead of newer studies. That's wild.
Science dictates we do not intervene. If you want to take the 5% chance that we then intervene in these children's lives, and that can result in even one kid being harmed, that sounds like an immoral action.
Now, these are extremely specific hypotheticals that you are maximizing in this current instance. And I am interested in creating a society that is that is more, yes, moral, but it's based on outcomes, not just.
That's what I just pulled up. Like, I mean, I can read to you again.
Right, but pull up the American Pediatrics study.
But we're talking about. Can I ask a
resistance.
hypothetical while you pull that up? If it is true that prescribing puberty blockers prevents people from hitting that point of puberty where they would decide, and largely they would decide to desist, right, when they hit the point of puberty, would you be in favor of removing that from the gender protocol? Because this only is talking about desistance at the point of puberty. So, like, what he's concerned about is that if you stop people from going through puberty, you stop the changes in their bodies and all that, and then they can't, like, rationally make that choice because they haven't hit that point in their development.
I don't have the I guess, arrogance, I would say. To
I mean, I
know
asked
that
you,
I know
I asked you a
more
hypothetical,
about,
like hypothetically.
Right, but again, this is exactly what reactionary conservatives do.
You know, it's a red flag
Is
from.
you deal,
on, make
is you-
arguments,
is you
not
deal,
throw- not
is
name
you
throwing.
deal with hypotheticals, because when you actually deal with the practical reality and the outcomes that you're dealing with and that you're prescribing onto society, it creates an inherently unjust society.
So let me
You know,
just,
as the right-wing conservative Destiny said recently when he was debating the left-wing pro-lifers, it is a definite red flag when somebody is unwilling completely to engage with the hypothetical. If you want to say why the hypothetical doesn't apply, that is totally fine.
No,
But
'cause I
for
wanna
you to
talk
just
about
like say, "Oh, it's a
reality."
hypothetical, I can't
Okay,
talk about it,"
I
as
don't
if you
think
don't
so.
know what a thought
Because-
experiment is, it's kind of odd.
look, I've asked you. We have here. I literally just pulled up detransition Wikipedia. We pulled up this study that shows that without intervention, desistance rates are from 61 to 98%.
And here I have
And,
general acceptance of standards of care. The overwhelming weight of medical authority supports treatment of transgender
That has nothing to do with
patients
what I'm
with
talking about.
GnRH agonists and cross-sex hormones in appropriate circumstances. Organizations who have formally recognized this include American Academy of Pediatrics, American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, American Academy of Family Physicians, American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, American College of Physicians, American Medical Association, American
Get his
Pediatric Association.
ass.
Dozens and
Remember when
dozens
doctors
of the
said
most...
smoking was good for you? You're not citing science. You're citing government approval.
No, I'm not. I am citing
That's fine.
What does
but-
that? What does the government have to do with it? These are medical organizations.
Okay, sure. Fair point. You're citing medical organizations, despite the fact
Yeah,
that
yeah,
there
I
have
know
been
I'm
numerous
bullshit.
instances throughout history, in fact, basically all of them, where we've been like, hey, we were wrong about that. Like, maybe we shouldn't drink mercury if you get syphilis. But what I'm referring to specifically is if there is no intervention of a trans child, desistance rates are from 61 to 98%, showing the majority of kids are better off not receiving
No, look, I
puberty
mean, you're on
blockers.
detransition Wikipedia. I just listed a
It's
list of
two
dozen
studies.
of,
Again,
of
he mentioned
half a dozen.
desistance, not detransition. This is like very important that we nail down what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
right. What I'm saying is, if you have a trans child, or a child who is suffering from gender identity disorder or dysphoria, and you do nothing, there is a 61 to 98% chance they age out of it and grow up and are happy and fine.
That's made up.
It's literally right there. What are you talking about?
On Wikipedia.
At the
That's
point of
interesting.
No, I
puberty is
pulled
what
up
he's
the
talking
NIH and
about.
you said you can pull up anything. Yeah, so here you go,
Tim,
NIH.gov.
Tim,
Here you go.
Tim.
Are you happy?
Tim,
NIH.gov.
deal with what I just said about
medical
the level
organizations-
of medical organizations.
That's
You're saying that they're
fine.
all wrong and that you have some sort of like special knowledge that you can supersede their expertise.
No,
in
he's
this
not.
area.
You're cherry picking American
And you're making an appeal to
organizations.
authority.
I just first of all, I just cited one from the Netherlands, but American Academy of Pediatrics, American
Appeal to
Academy
authority.
of Child
Appeal
and
to authority. Appeal to authority. Keep doing
No,
it.
I mean,
But not even that.
I've got.
like-
I've
but
got.
I'm not a medical authority, and neither are you. So why
then
wouldn't
all I
you
can
appeal
do
to
is
the
point to a
authority?
study and say, "Wow, if this study is true, I'm opposed to this." Right?
But there's also all these European organizations that are getting rid of this specific practice that he's focusing on, which is the puberty blockers, and like for some reason they're not on your list.
No,
which is
we are
interesting.
properly
you
assessing
cherry-picked.
when intervention is appropriate here. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
But why would they suspend in these better healthcare systems in Europe? Why would they suspend this specific practice that we're
I
arguing
mean, you
about?
listed Sweden and Finland. They've just
Well, he listed a
elected
whole bunch of
far right
them.
governments, but
I mean,
But anyway,
These
like
things considered.
again, this is what I'm interested in talking about in terms of politics. I want to create a more equitable society for people. We should have socialized healthcare, Medicare for all. You should talk about that more on your program. You say you're in favor of it.
We
I
talk about
haven't
it quite
really
a bit.
seen. I haven't
Look,
seen much.
when you guys cherry pick stuff to
No,
talk
no,
about
we
music
should talk
or
about
whatever, and,
ending
like-
child poverty. I mean, it's funny. You should talk about ending
But,
child
but you
poverty.
could have talked about my position on universal health care any one of these times. You never do. Why? It's not going to get traffic for you.
Well, I mean, you don't clip anything about universal healthcare. You should focus more
What are you
on it,
talking-
and then
what?
we would do, and then we would focus on it.
Because like
What we try to
when,
do
when are we gonna
is
be
to,
like for
in
no
real
reason let's just make a
time-
universal health care thing?
What we try to do in real time is correct right-wing lies, whether
talk
it's
about
you
abortion a
or
lot.
Dave Rubin or
Yeah, you're doing the appeal to authority fallacy by it's an appeal to authority by listing that every reputable organization says the world is round. That's an appeal to authority. You haven't personally gone around the world in an airplane or a hot air balloon full of wacky hijinks like that one Jackie Chan movie.
Steven Crowder. We do talk about abortion a lot.
yeah.
We do.
What's my abortion position?
I'm not sure.
Why? You've not watched any of the 8,000 segments we've done on it?
I do know that you called that 10-year-old case a hoax, a political hoax.
The
if you want to
political
do it.
maneuvers around it to change the law was a hoax.
Yeah.
Sure. So, well, how do you not know my position on abortion? I mean, you watch the show. You watch at any point, you can see the arguments we have.
I don't
He
have
did
a ton
too.
of time to watch all
You
your
specifically covered his episode with the serfs where they talked about it in depth. So it's weird that you don't.
Well,
know.
reiterate your abortion position for me, and I'll respond to
pro-choice.
it. Okay. In
I
what
think-
way?
I think Roe v. Wade was the right decision.
Okay.
I think that life should be mandated, should be protected under the Constitution at the federal level, and that it probably does make sense for the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade, but that means Congress needs to codify it.
Okay, but that's not going to happen, and that's because we don't have.
Well, that's a different question.
I wonder if anyone has the clip of Tim Pool reacting to the overthrow of Roe v. Wade.
Instantly ban abortion. Already, Kristi Noem of South Dakota has said, if this is true, and it is, she would immediately call for a special session to ban abortion outright in South Dakota. If a fetus is codified in law as a living person, as everyone on the right basically agrees, you would be able to act in defense of this living person as per self-defense. If someone was attacking another person brutally and viciously with extreme force, and you genuinely feared for the life of that person, typically you are entitled to act in the defense of others. That means to use force against another person, it would be justified, an affirmative defense. A man is strangling a woman on the ground, so you kick him. He dies. They say, why did you kick him? He was strangling that woman and I needed to stop him. You didn't intend to kill him. You just wanted him to stop because he was going to kill someone else. An affirmative defense. What if a doctor is performing an abortion illegally to kill what is codified as a human life, and you kick him and he dies? Would the same law, the same precedent apply to you? This is where things get dark.
Yeah, marking. Yeah. We must kill the mothers to save the children. The precious, precious children. Yeah. Also, chat. Hello, marking. But also, chat. Hey. How we doing? Been streaming for almost 3 hours now. And we are 9 subs away from reaching our Pride look goal, where I will change into my Pride outfit that I will wear tonight with my partner. If any of
With
you
the
want
overturning of Roe v. Wade, you will have...
If any of you want to come on over to riverboat.gg and help a girl out, I'd appreciate it. Is Tim Pool over? No. No.
Question.
Because we need filibuster reform. So
Emma just looks so goddamn tired.
Remember, fetuses are technically parasites.
I mean, I would say they're parasitic. Fetuses are parasitic. I don't think they're parasites, technically. But thank you for the $5 dono. I appreciate it.
I'm not really interested in process. I'm interested in outcomes as we get back to,
I'm sorry,
again,
Avalon of Babylon.
the differences that we clearly have here. I don't really care who imposes the right to abortion in this country. I just care that we have a right to abortion in this country.
God damn, marking.
14 asterisk gifted asterisk 10 tier 1 asterisk subscriptions.
Marking, thank you for the 10 gifted tier 1 subs, you absolute mad lad, you. Thank you so goddamn much. I need to go and do my outfit. Holy moly, y'all. Let's go. Yeah, even Samus got up for that one. And you know what? I think for 10 subs, you deserve a treat. What do you think about that? I'm gonna get you a dental treat. So you can chew and clean those toofies. Huh? You have to let me up. Thanks, marking. Time to get even cuter. Time to get even cuter and maybe a little sluttier. There you go. Okay, chat. I have a couple options. Okay? I have this kind of like peasant dress type thing. There's like a little navy blue cord on it. I'm thinking I could pair this with like some kind of cool jacket. And be a little casual, because it is kind of hot outside, right? So I could do this. Or I could go a little bit more traditional. No, it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of a strappy black dress. Goes down, would show off cleavage. Could also be worn with a jacket. And then this one I haven't worn in a while. But it's also kind of sentimental for my partner. But where's the rainbows and sparkles? I don't have a lot of rainbows and sparkles. I just want to go out and make out with my hot girlfriend. But so far I like the white one. Floral is good. But so far it seems like the white one is the one. Which one is the sluttiest option? This one. Because it's also very, very short. And if I wear this dress, my ass will be popping out. That one then? Ass and titties. Ass and titties. Okay. I'll go put it on. I'll be right back. Do you guys want me to leave you with Tim Pool? Yamero! No? Okay. I'll leave you with some music. Be right back. Hi, chat. I do have to take off the hat, though. How we doing? The dress looks good on you? I think so. Like, shows off enough the boobs. But then... You could be a Revlon model? I don't know about that one. Hey, Miss Hire. Yeah, and if I feel like I need a bit more like airflow or something, I can always undo the belt around the middle. And that would help. You look like you should be on a lawn chair in a big backyard. True, I do look like I should be a MILF. Sunbathing. Sunbathing MILF. Ayalana, thank you very much for subscribing over on Twitch. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, tomorrow, chat, we will be live around 12, around noon. To be honest, we'll be live around noon, maybe a little bit before. We'll be participating in a Pride event to raise money for Rainbow Passage. So y'all be there or be square. Basically raising money to get LGBT people out of places where it's not safe to be queer anymore. Yes, and I will be on doing like an interview and a panel thing. Noon in which time zone? CST or CT. So, a convenient time zone for no one. My appearance, anyway. Yeah, sipping iced tea or something else cool, yeah. Demon Mama is doing online Pride, and that's cool. Yeah, I think we're part of the same event. Need to check. All right. Time for work. Nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Spitfire. And one second, I gotta figure something out real quick. BRB. Okay. So, is it done with the Tim podcast? We actually have like an hour left of the Tim podcast, but you guys may have gained a brief reprieve because I think I have to go and pick up my partner. I'd say from work. I'd say Demon Mama has had a lot to do with that as well, though. Yeah, Demon Mama is very based. Thank fuck. Ah, I knew you guys hated me. I'm sorry, folks. But we will continue these dastardly things. Don't you think I forgot about the Vosh debate with the transphobe that we never finished? Or this podcast? We will come back around to them. You silly gooses. Boo, I can't stand Tim. Me neither. He's insufferable. But, you know what? Credit where credit is due for Tim. He did inspire me to get into politics. He did inspire me to get into politics because I watched one Tim Pool video. Changed my life. For real. Changed my life. Specifically, it changed my life because I realized that if a motherfucker as boring as Tim can like shoot to the top of this niche profession, I certainly can. I'm way more interesting than Tim and have better opinions. Thanks, Tim, this one time. Yeah. You're like, fuck this guy? Basically, Paladin. Basically. And I do have cooler hats. This is true. I love you guys. I'm sorry it's another short stream, but we'll be back tomorrow, and yeah, we'll be. I believe there's going to be like an interview segment, and then I'll be part of a panel, perhaps tomorrow. But we will see how things shake out. I love y'all, and we'll do more fun stuff tomorrow. Okay? Maybe I'll hook up Super Mario RPG for tomorrow too. Let's see, we're going to go right into live. Agar. Good night, y'all. Oh god.